house, but you know.
Right. So no, it's just interesting because it's
Why?
kind of in the news.
Well, see, I missed that trick.
Well,
then.
we have in this country censorship laws that date back to 1929, I think it is, right?
Yeah.
And there was like 1,200 books were banned. Any mention of sex or anything like that there was banned. But the very last book that was banned was Madonna's book.
Was it an autobiography or what was it?
No, it was like a picture book. But that was the last book that was banned, I think, in
Was it?
89.
And that made the news today? How come I didn't pick up on that?
Because it's not in the newspapers, it's in my head.
All right.
Yeah. Madonna's book's not mentioned, but just by coincidence, it is the last book
okay.
that ever was banned.
Come here, can I tell you something which I noticed about you today?
Go on.
There's a nice smell about you today.
There always is. I always smell pleasant.
There's a fragrance off you today.
Yes.
Deodorant?
Armpits?
Or, no, nice smell. No, like the aftershave or something. Did you put something on?
Every day I smell good.
No, but you never smelled like that before.
Well, I changed it, so I have.
What did you change to then? What is it, deodorant or is it deodorant?
No, it's aftershave.
Oh, you put aftershave on to come to work?
I do every day.
You do not. The first time I smelled it.
You're on about noses having been able to smell millions of different smells.
Your noses can smell a trillion smells.
Yeah.
I smelled that as soon as you came in. I thought it was, there you go. Yeah.
Thanks very much.
You must be trying to. Who's your guest?
You smell like money.
Thanks. Who's your guest in the studio today then?
Oh,
Who was that? Madonna?
I don't know. Don't have any.
Just because the aftershave thought must be something.
Don't you start any rumours, son.
All right. Good luck to you.
All right. It's 9:01. Time for news update. It's over to Donna Marie Doherty.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. It's hoped additional funding will be made available to alleviate ongoing flooding in the Trenta area of Letterkenny. Some improvement works have already been carried out in the area, and Donegal County Council has confirmed an application for funding to extend the works is to be submitted for climate adaptation funding. Councillor Kieran Brogan says in the interim it's vital that signage is erected to warn road users of times of flooding.
We've had a lot of funding spent there now, and as we speak, it's an advanced stage of completing that works. There's still areas that we need to apply for more funding. I've got confirmation that we are applying again. The short term, I want just to get signs to be erected in that area because a lot of residents are very concerned about the risks they take when they're making the journey to and from their homes. It's been a big issue in that area, and I'm glad it's moving along now, and I want to commend our own council team for the work they're doing, and indeed the landowners.
Our take-home pay is going to be affected by an increase in PRSI. The amount we pay is set to rise from next October. It will mean the average worker's pay will reduce by €46 every year. Business correspondent Joe Lynham says one of the rationales for the decision is to keep the pension age as it is.
This is to pay for us having made a decision, or the government having made a decision, not to raise the pension age beyond 66. You have to pay for all these extra pensions. So it means that employers and employees will have to pay more money. Their take-home pay will go down, and the gross cost of employing someone will go up for employers.
Bundoran is seeing a number of developments, including a €200,000 revamp of its playground. Councillor Michael McMahon says the 25-year-old play park has served locals and visitors alike. The development of 42 housing units and a $350,000 outdoor diner has also been welcomed. Councillor McMahon says some works have already commenced.
I'm very pleased that we're getting our fair share, and housing, as I said earlier on, is very, very important, and this is a state-of-the-art housing with 42 houses. We have quite a number of people on the housing list, both in the Bundoran and the Ballyshannon and the local area. We also have ready to start the outdoor diner in the west end of the town to the tune of a little over 350,000. It was held up a little while there by the department, but we're ready to go on that.
The age limit to buy cigarettes could rise from 18 to 21. A public consultation on the issue is set to get underway this week. A number of countries have stepped up their efforts to curb cigarette use among teenagers. Professor Deirdre Murray, Director of the National Cancer Registry, says raising the age limit would reduce access to the product.
There are a number of evidence-based interventions that you can use to reduce the risk at any age, and that is if you reduce their access, increase the price, and well-designed mass media campaigns. And for that I mean things like advice on packets about how to quit and where to go, when to quit. So this would fit into the first one, in my view, which is reducing access.
Looking out to weather, cloudy, damp and blustery day with patchy light rain and drizzle, highs of 11 to 13 degrees and fresh to strong westerly winds. That's all for now from Highland Radio News. The next news updates at 10 o'clock. Until then, good morning.
This Christmas at Super Value, we have great offers to help you share the magic, like selected Ariel and Bold Pods 25-piece, Lower Coffee Pods 20-pack, and Nestle Black Magic 348 gram, €5 each, exclusive to Real Rewards members only. Plus, get money off vouchers every week on the Real Rewards app too. Share the magic this Christmas with Super Value. T's and C's apply.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio. And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest, The 9 till Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello, good morning to you. 5 minutes past 9 on this Wednesday, the 22nd of November, and you're very welcome along to another edition of the 9 till Noon Show. Our lines are open for you right now to get involved in the conversation, to start your own, pass on your own issues, tell us your own stories. Maybe it's a act of random kindness or something positive that you've seen as well. We love those chats. How do you get in contact with us? It's WhatsApps and texts to 086 60 25,000, 086 60 25,000. Or you can send a voice note to that WhatsApp number too. If you want to give us a call, it's Caroline taking your calls with Shannon on 074 91 25,000, and emails to us from wherever you are, comments@highlandradio.com. And you can also contact us across our social media, as many of you do, so we do appreciate all that contact as well. Right, let's look at what's making the pages of the newspapers today. We'll start with the locals. The Inish Times this morning. Management at Buncrana Community Hospital failed to take appropriate action after two incidences where intruders entered the building, an inspection by the state's health watchdog has found. The health service executive run facility on McGinn Avenue, which provides care to up to 30 residents, was found to be non-compliant with two care and welfare of residents in designated centres for older people regulations following an unannounced inspection by the Health Information and Quality Authority. That was in August of this year. The report from the inspection found that some actions were required to ensure that the providers' management systems were effective in ensuring the quality and safety of the care and services provided for the residents. The Donegal Post's front page focus today is on meaningful support being needed for restaurants, cafes and pubs in towns where a significant portion of tourism accommodation is unavailable to visitors. We're really up against it, said Mairead Anderson, who along with her husband Gary owns Anderson's Boathouse restaurant in Killybegs. Mairead and Gary both stress that their issue is absolutely not with the Ukrainian community. It's with how the situation is being handled and the associated lack of communication on the part of the government. If you're going to have your business reduced, of course it's going to have a big impact, said Mairead. Her comments follow the shock news that cafes, restaurants and pubs were being excluded from the government's €10 million support fund. The fund's supposed to help businesses in areas where large numbers of rooms in local hotels and B&Bs are being used for humanitarian purposes, but it excludes cafes, restaurants and pubs, which is quite surprising. So where else does it go? On to the Finn Valley Voice this morning. Countdown on for Christmas lights switch on in the towns, on in Twin Towns, I beg your pardon. The countdown is on for the Twin Towns Christmas lights switch on this Sunday, the 26th of November from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. at McElhenney's car park. And just to throw out the invitation to you once again, by the way, that we'll be doing a roundup of Christmas light switch-ons or anything festive that you're doing in your community. It doesn't matter how large your town is or if it's just a village or just a single tree. It doesn't matter. If you want a bit of publicity, get in touch with us now. We'll be doing a roundup to make sure that everyone gets fair publicity. 086 60 25,000, WhatsApp and text in the details, or preferably give us a call on 074 91 25,000. We might even get to have a chat to you. So if lights are going on in your area, or it doesn't have to be this weekend or whenever it's happening, we're going to be doing a roundup. So get in touch with us if you've got something going on that you want to share more broadly to the community. The Independent tells us that the health services financial crisis will be even worse this time next year than it is now. The head of HSE warned Health Minister Stephen Donnelly less than 24 hours before last month's budget. Mr Donnelly was also warned in an email from HSE Chief Executive Bernard Gloucester on October 9th that any cost controls to reduce the health deficit would create significant and punitive risks to the public. The email was sent after Mr McGloucester had been told that the HSE would be given less than half the extra funding it asked for in asked for to run the health service next year. Now, Stephen Donnelly is going to be joining us on the show on Friday as he's up here turning the sod on the new community hospital in Letterkenny, meeting too with medical representatives over concerns they've raised. A very simple question is, why are the government purse strings so tight when it comes to health? What is the logic or what is the argument being made, or the justification, especially when the warning is that this is going to have negative impact out on the public? So we'll be putting that question to him. But the letter goes on to say, or the email, the position likely to face the HSE coming towards 2025 will be likely worse than today for 2024, when the 2025 doubtless increment costs will be added. Mr. Gloucester wrote to Mr. Donnelly, his Secretary General Robert Watt and HSE Chair Kieran Devane on the afternoon of October 9th. And of course, there are always increasing costs in health or any area of public spending. So you have to obviously increase the funds to cover that, and then increase the funds further to improve services. We talk an awful lot about texts. You know, these texts that you receive, we talked about it yesterday, and we keep mentioning it, and rightly so, because new ones come out all the time, and you could be forgiven for thinking that this is all happening in some far-flung part of the world, or nothing is being done to try and tackle it. So an interesting story on the front of the Irish Times. I'm not saying these people are responsible, but it's in the same area, okay? An Irish teenager is regarded as the main suspect in an investigation by Waterford Gardaí into a significant fraud gang involved in cyber-enabled frauds. Gardaí have arrested 9 suspects and seized over €1 million of cryptocurrency, the largest ever sum of the currency seized from an organised gang involved in this kind of alleged smishing fraud, which is carried out via SMS and WhatsApp messaging, claiming to be from post offices, delivery companies or financial institutions. So they have arrested a number of people in Waterford, and €1 million in cryptocurrency. The vast majority of money stolen from Irish people in frauds based around bogus text messages is usually moved abroad to the foreign criminals running the scams. However, one unusual feature of the group now under investigation is that it is allegedly Irish-led. It's understood that a key individual of interest is a young Irishman who had never come to the attention of the Garda before now. However, despite his youth, he is now a main suspect in an investigation by Waterford Gardaí that has spread as far as South Africa and Dubai. So over €1 million potentially of your money seized in cryptocurrency there. On to the Irish Daily Mail now, and I'm not just talking about this to pee off those of you that are listening to me sitting in traffic today, but Transport Minister Eamon Ryan has said the nation must prioritise bypasses as the Cabinet approved funding of €150 million to fast-track the Adair bypass ahead of the Ryder Cup in 2027. The bypass is one element of the Limerick to Foynes project, which is a 33-kilometre road connecting Limerick to the port of Foynes. Speaking yesterday, Mr Ryan and Green Party leader said that Adair will see huge benefits once the road is finished. Now, fair play to the people of Adair and those now able to go around it, but the fact that it's being fast-tracked ahead of the Ryder Cup in 2027, I suggested on social media yesterday, are there any golf clubs that could apply for a Ryder Cup in and around Letterkenny? You'd have to be successful, but maybe that's the way to get the Bonagee Link Road, the Link Bridge, progressed, because it's being fast-tracked in Adair for the Ryder Cup, and we're sitting here for generations and maybe generations to come in one of the biggest towns in the northwest, if not the biggest town, and the calls for Bonagee Link are still going unanswered. Work is ongoing, but when? It's been ongoing for so long. But anyway, there was a tragic story came out of Britain yesterday. 4 bodies have been found in the search for a group of teenagers who disappeared on a camping trip in Wales. Sixth form college pals Jevon Hurst, Harvey Owen, Wilf Henderson and Hugo Morris went missing on Sunday morning and were last seen in a silver Ford Fiesta. This sparked a huge search. Then yesterday, some section of road was sealed off and an investigation started. And then very shortly after, North Wales Police confirmed 4 bodies had been recovered from the car, which appeared to have left the road in a tragic accident. Superintendent Owen Llewellyn of North Wales Police said, at present, this appears to have been a tragic accident, and our thoughts are with the family and friends of the 4 young men at this very difficult time. And it's awful what the families are going through, but also in the interim until such time as the remains were discovered and the unanswered questions that they'll have that will remain unanswered in terms of how long did it take people to pass away and stuff. It's terribly, terribly sad. As is the ongoing situation in the Middle East. The Irish Sun reports that the Irish government is doing all it can to make sure Emily Hand is among the first hostages released by Hamas. Leo Varadkar has promised. The release of dozens of Israeli hostages was closer than ever last night. About 50 women and children, including 9-year-old Irish-Israeli Emily, were on the verge of being freed from tunnels in Gaza, where they've been kept for more than 6 weeks. Israeli PM Benjamin Netanyahu said, I hope there will be good news soon. US President Joe Biden also said a deal was very, very close. And that deal has been struck now. The only thing remaining is as to when there will be a pause in the fighting to allow that exchange of people over the next 4 days. It's to be staged or staggered over the next 4 days, whilst fighting is supposed to stop. And finally, in the Irish Mirror, a bit of a faux pas from number 10. UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak's office was forced into a social media U-turn yesterday after appearing to use the tricolour in a post celebrating the culture of Northern Ireland. Businesses from Northern Ireland were in 10 Downing Street on Monday for a reception with the PM and his staff for an event celebrating the best of the region. The post was published on the social media app Instagram with photos of attendees at the event. A spokesperson for the PM's office admitted the post was made in error and then quickly deleted. So it says businesses from across Northern Ireland arrived to showcase some of the best produce the country has to offer, and then there is the little tricolour flag. All right, that's a run through the papers this morning. Anything catch your ear there? 08660 25,000, the WhatsApp and text number for you.
The newspapers are courtesy of Kelly Centra Mountaintop Letterkenny, the 2022 C-Store National Off-Licence of the Year.
Christmas party nights at the Silver Tassie. Drinks reception, 4-course festive meal, live music by the Logues, Jim Devine, and more power to your elbow. For dates and bookings, call the Silver Tassie Hotel, proud sponsors of today's show.
What if you could send a free chocolate bar in secret to someone special? Just to, give them a little lift. With the Cadbury Secret Santa Postal Service, you can send free chocolate secretly from a poster. They're popping up all over the country, from great big cities to quaint little towns. Look out for a poster near you or search Cadbury Secret Santa to find out more. 18 plus, free service on selected products while stocks last until December the 24th. For full terms and conditions, visit cadbury.ie.
Join us in Donegal Town this Christmas for a special shopping extravaganza. 100 plus boutique shops, discounts galore and late shopping. Capture the festive atmosphere at the Donegal Town Shopping Spree, Friday 1st and Saturday 2nd of December.
Mr. Blue Sky, please tell us why. The Lotto jackpot is an estimated €6 million. Play responsibly in store, in-app or at lottery.ie. The National Lottery. It could be you.
Hi, Tommy Bow here. Get in store to check out my new 15 Kings clothing collection, available in premium gents outfitters nationwide and at 15kings.com.
The Black Tag event is now on at Curry's. Treat them or treat yourself with a Samsung Series 7 Space Max American-style fridge freezer, now only €1199. Save €350. Or save €200 on the Lenovo 15-inch IdeaPad 3i laptop with Intel Core i7, now $699. Get in-store or online at currys.ie.
At iMotors, we're kicking off Black Friday week with over €100,000 in reductions and thousands off selected stock. Call into our showroom this week to get the best deals in town. Buy any used car Black Friday week and receive a 43-inch TV. Visit our showroom today in Drumkeen or Malin for this unbeatable offer. iMotors, we have your next car. Visit imotors.ie to see all our stock.
You know me, I do like a home that's warm and cosy during these cold winter months. In fact, the warmer and cosier, the better. That's why I insist on Willow Warm long burning briquettes. They're grown and made here in Ireland, and they're 100% carbon neutral. So Willow Warm briquettes are good for the environment, for the country, and your pocket. Willow Warm, the brighter, cleaner, greener way to a cosy home. See willowwarm.ie for stockists.
Highland Radio time checks with Expressway. Travel Route 32 from Letterkenny to Dublin when you book online and travel for less. Expressway, bringing you the time at...
The time is 9:19. A texter says, Minister Donnelly is going to come to Donegal on Friday, and in advance of his visit, ED's being cleared out and a true picture will not be shown. Well, we've got statistics for every single day and we'll be able to see a trend of Fridays. And if it's quite obvious that this Friday is different from other Fridays, well, then we'll know and we'll talk about that as well. Right, we've been talking about people parking in disabled parking bays, and we've also been discussing this week people parking in the parent and toddler parking bays. And I believe that must have triggered Margaret to contact us. Margaret, you recently got a parking ticket in Letterkenny. Good morning to you, by the way, Margaret.
Good morning, Greg. How are you?
You don't... I'm doing okay, Margaret. You don't believe you were in the wrong?
Well, I was... I always parked on that particular bay, but they changed it into electric bay.
Oh.
And it's not that I parked every day of the week or every week, but any time I've been in Letterkenny at Mascally Place, I parked on there.
Yes.
And they more or less told me, well, you should have known better and you should have parked it. Shouldn't have parked there.
And did you get to speak to the person issuing the ticket at the time, or did you make an appeal after the fact, Margaret?
I did get speaking to the person. He says, you take it up with him. And I wrote to him and they wrote back and they says, no. He said that you were on the wrong parking in that disability bay, or that electric bay, because I never seen two electric bays together. There was only one.
I would say, Margaret, you are very unfortunate and in a small group of people who would be entitled to disabled parking, accidentally parked in an electric vehicle bay and ended up getting a €80 fine, even though you are a badge holder.
Yeah.
It's very... I think and was there no reasoning with the person? Did you not say, well, look, I have a disability, or I'm at least... I have the right to a disabled badge. I've made a mistake. This used to be a disabled parking bay. You're not there to try and upset any electric car drivers. And there was no negotiation with them at all.
True enough, I wasn't sticky to him or anything. I just said I didn't know.
Yeah.
As far as I was concerned, that was a disabled bay.
And you took it up with the council then, did you? What, did you write to them or call them or what?
No, I wrote back to the address. I wrote back on the address.
Yes.
With the sign I got.
And you explained the situation, obviously, Margaret. What did they say back to you then?
Yeah. This is... That was the person that done it. If you the ticket had the right because you were parking illegally in an electric bay.
Mm.
And more or less, that I should have known better.
Yeah, but it was a genuine mistake.
I know it was a genuine mistake, but they wouldn't hear tell of it.
And I suppose you could contest it further, but the way it's set up, the fine would double then eventually at some point, wouldn't it? Or go up at least.
I know, but much hassle you used to go through trying to get your point across that you were genuinely making a mistake and them just saying, oh, well, you shouldn't have done it.
But anyway, you believe it to be very unfair on you, Margaret?
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Okay, well, we'll see if any other listeners have had similar experiences. Margaret, thank you very much for your time. That's Margaret, who is a badge holder. She's entitled to park in disabled parking bays, but one of the bays that used to be a disabled parking bay is now an electric vehicle charger. She says they look quite similar on first glance. The painting was faded. She pulled in there in good faith, but ended up getting an €80 ticket and appealed it and was told you were parking illegally. You have no recourse, really, as such, from their perspective. What do you think of that? 086 60 25,000. I believe that's a parking space down Scally Place in Letterkenny, if you're familiar with it. Has anything similar happened to you? What do you think should happen in that situation with Margaret? Okay, I want to give you an early shout out for a €50 fuel voucher. Thanks to our friends at Kelly's Centre at the Mountaintop in Letterkenny. Just to remind you, they're getting ready for Santa season and are celebrating their community this Christmas, and they'll be working with Little Angels and raising funds for the festive season. They'll have a number of giveaways in store and on social media. There'll be golden tickets in store with discounts and a grand prize, and you may see them out and about with a very special guest. Today, again, one lucky listener will win a €50 fuel voucher to fuel up at their local Circle K. What colour is emerald? It's a very simple question. Text your answer, your name and where you're from to 086 60 25,000. WhatsApp or text. What colour is emerald? I have the answer in front of me. I keep almost reading it out. Text your answer, your name and where you're from to 086 60 25,000 and you could win a €50 fuel voucher to fuel up at your local Circle K, and it's thanks to our friends at Kelly's Centre at the Mountaintop in Letterkenny. Now, we are joined on the programme by Orla Carmody, Age Friendly Ireland. Good morning to you, Orla. Thanks for your time.
Good morning. Lovely to be talking to you.
Yeah, it's good to chat to you. And you're encouraging businesses to work to become more age-friendly. And it's a easy argument to make, you would argue, I'm sure, Orla, if businesses take on board your advice.
Well, it's just got good customer service, really, I suppose, is the way you might look at it. So Age Friendly Ireland came out of the World Health Organization, and it was a move to make every town and village and community, any place at all, a great place in which to grow old. So there's an age-friendly program manager now attached to every local authority area. And, you know, they work on the libraries and the health service and many, many kind of supports. So I'm the age-friendly business consultant, and I'm tasked with encouraging businesses to come on board the program and to become age-friendly. And the reason for this is to just demonstrate to the older consumer that they're valued, that they're going to be welcome, that there's a few little changes and supports put in place in the business to make sure that the older consumer has a comfortable experience when they shop or when they support a particular service. And we keep it fairly simple. We always say businesses should introduce three low-cost or no-cost changes to demonstrate age friendliness, and then they can come on board the program. So we've got businesses all over the country now involved. I've concentrated mainly on the big multi-branch businesses, so I'm talking about Vodafone and Bank of Ireland and AXA Insurance, FBD, the Money Advice Bureaus, the Citizens Information Offices, lots of businesses.
Well, let's just pick one of those out for an example. Even maybe perhaps all you don't want a Vodafone. They don't take cash. A lot of people would say that's not very age-friendly.
No, that's very true, and an older person might be able to cope with that. Indeed, you're so right. But what they have done is, in many of the Vodafone branches, for example, they've set aside special times on Saturday mornings or Friday mornings, nice and early, because older people usually get out and about more early than people who are at work, for example. And they've allocated extra time. So each of the customer service agents now knows that if an older person comes in, they're not rushed. They're not rushing on to the next customer. They've somewhere to sit down, and they will explain things very thoroughly to them. So that's one of the changes they brought in Vodafone.
So just in relation to something like that, Orla, is that what older people want to because they get up early to have a particular time in the morning with chairs? Is that what inclusivity feels like?
Well, it's one of the things, but I suppose the key thing is that there's no generic approach to this, because not all older people are the same. You have the younger older age category, which is age 55 to 75 approximately, And then you've the older category, which is 75 to 95. And that's a huge breadth of difference. And everybody is going to have different needs and requirements in that. I suppose one of the pieces of work we did was we began encouraging advertisers to be more diverse in the way they approach people using different products, because sometimes advertisers act like you stop using all the wide range of products and services when you get older a certain age. All you're interested in buying are plots and cemeteries and stair lifts for your home.
Yeah, hearing aids and glasses. If you think of the only advertising really that's targeting older people is, funerals, cremation, eyesight, teeth, and hearing, and yet the older population are huge spenders and probably huge in-store spenders. All the talk of around Black Friday month, as it is now, really effectively, is younger people shopping online. The mainstay of a lot of these businesses is the older generation shopping in person.
Shopper, they like to shop, they have time to shop, they love the social interaction of it, they like getting out and about, and they're the people who are bringing the footfall back into the main street, not necessarily, as you say, the younger people who do it online. But if you think logically about the older people and the way they consume, and we estimate that older people control 50% of all consumer spending right across the Western world, and that percentage rises higher in areas like food and clothing and hotel and restaurant. But if you think about it, my own mum is 93 and thankfully she's hale and hearty and living alone. Well, her mother died in her mid-60s. So I often think of how many tubes of toothpaste did my mother consume in the extra 30 years she has been blessed with on this planet. How many trips did she go on? How many restaurants did she eat in? How many pairs of shoes did she buy? And that is really extraordinary. And that longevity we're seeing is thanks to better healthcare, better transport, better housing, even our awareness that we know to stay fitter and healthier and to eat better and take exercise. And we're seeing that in longevity. The longevity we're seeing in the world at the moment is just extraordinary. We've never seen it on the planet before.
It is, but when you do look around, and obviously some businesses will make some inroads, but it seems to be going in the other direction, that everything is just as quick as you can. That race at the checkout in your local supermarket, for an example. We do have examples in other countries whereby there are particular aisles that things move a little bit slower, which I think it should be more broadly available. But also, more and more technology, self-checkouts, all of this kind of stuff. It seems really we're going in the other direction as to where you want us to be going, Orla.
Not necessarily. I don't see them as kind of mutually exclusive, because I do know younger people want convenience and they want to self-checkout and they want all of that. But I think the ideal is where a supermarket, exactly as you've mentioned, in the Netherlands they started the whole slow checkout idea, an idea where you can take your time and have to chat and have time for those pleasantries, which are very important. So I think it's a dual approach to this, and I'd love to see the supermarket groups here, yes, putting in all the self-service on one side of the checkouts, but on the other side, keeping the traditional checkouts, and that older people can know, you know what, I can take my time here, I'm not going to be annoying the person behind me. One of the things that we hear, and we've an older person's council in every local authority area in the country, and we really listen to what they say. It's that whole thing of not about us, without us. We never assume we know what older people want. We ask them. And the older person's councils are the eyes and ears on the ground, and they really feed back some great information to us. They always say things like, one of the things they dread most about aging is that you would be considered irrelevant, or that somebody behind a cash desk or at a reception somewhere might roll their eyes or look impatient because you're a bit slower taking your credit card out of your wallet, or because you've forgotten your reading glasses and you can't make out the form. And it's those little, sort of body language things that really impact on an older person. And so I'm always saying, when I deliver the training course that we ask the businesses to come on, I always say, manage the face, guys, manage the face. Don't give it away, and make that eye contact, smile, have the few words. I think during COVID we became really aware of that when an older person did go out, say, and start shopping or doing whatever they had to do, that might have been the only conversation they had that week if they live alone. And I think a lot of businesses were very respectful and very mindful of that, and I think did give them the time.
Okay, great stuff, Orla. Thanks for your time this morning. I really do appreciate it. Take care of yourself. For Orla Carmody there, Age Friendly Ireland, talking about reading things. I don't understand why They have to have the cooking instructions for stuff that you buy in shops so small. It's tiny. I wish they'd increase the size of it. And my eyes aren't bad. I don't need glasses just yet. I probably do. But anyway, I'm struggling on. They have the writing so small, and also start including some cooking instructions for air fryers as well. I don't know why they don't. I'd go to that shop. Right, okay. Speaking of shopping, there was a post on our social medias, Dunn Stores shops, the shop and save vouchers expiring. It's off the back of a number of listeners who've got in touch to say that Dunn Stores shop and save vouchers have shortened their validity date, meaning people are unable to spend them in the time frame. And we asked, has this happened to you, and has it affected your shopping habits? Some of your comments here, yes, it did. And as a result, over a short period of time, I lost €35 worth of vouchers. I didn't even realise until a very nice checkout assistant explained to me when I went to use them, and they'd expired. That's a €35 increase in someone's shopping bill there. Another, same happened to me. I was raging. Another, same as that, €35 wiped out. Another, yes, it happened to me. €50 lost in vouchers. Despite all their ads, they never mentioned they reduced the amount of days the vouchers were valid for. Another, yes, it happened to me, and I don't go as often to Dunn's anymore. I always done a big shop every fortnight, and now it doesn't work for me anymore. There's a great group called Dunn Stores Voucher Swap or Giveaway to ask for vouchers, as people are always stuck now with less days to use their vouchers, or if you can't use, to give it away, which seems quite nice. €10 voucher valid for 10 days and 5 for 7 days. Just checked my app and still the same. Bit of confusion for another customer there. Another, yes, vouchers only last for 10 days now. Always shopped every 2 weeks, so they are no good to me. It's kind of clever, isn't it? The vouchers are still there, but you shorten it to 10 days when people have a 2-week shopping, probably have it. And they would know people's shopping habits. Yes, they must want you running in there every day, says another. Another, yes, I've lost vouchers too as a result of the short time frame in them. Disappointing. Yeah, found that myself. Not enough time to spend them. Another, yes, I shopped every 2 weeks, so changed where I shopped. They did it every year at this time. It goes back to normal in January, says another. There's an online group, just swap and share. It's easy. And another here, SuperValue gives you 7 days. It should be longer for people that live on their own. I do my shopping every fortnight, so I'm losing out. And on it goes. A few people saying they're shopping elsewhere, but a few people saying that it's only around this time of year that they tend to shorten that window, and it returns to the 14 days in January. Any further insight into that, let us know. 086 60 25,000. 086 60 25,000. Anyone in the beaches, Ballybofey, had their coal stolen, asks a listener. We think ours has been. Interesting to see if anyone else feels the same. So coal has disappeared about the amount whereby they believe it has, but want a bit of validation. So do you live in the beaches area of Ballybofey? Have you had your coal stolen? Get in touch with us, because that listener wants to know. Hi, Greg. Myself and my partner recently became parents to a little boy, but he came a lot earlier than he was meant to come. He came when he was 28 weeks. We're from Donegal, but we've had to go to Dublin, as that was the hospital that could have our baby that early. Don't get me wrong, the staff in the hospital are lovely, and they care for all the young premature babies very well each and every day. We wouldn't change the fact we're down here, but when the baby was born, we had to travel up and down on a daily basis to see our baby in Dublin. I went to a local councillor for some help with accommodation, as there is a waiting list for the accommodation. The local councillor went to a local TD, and he was to speak to the Minister for Health, and they'd done nothing. He gave me a link for the house with a phone number, which I already rang. When I went to the councillor, I told him that money was very short and didn't have much, as we're a young couple, and will the government... why the government won't help if you ask for it. We are financially broke. I have to keep the place we have in Donegal, so money is to be put away for that, and then have to keep ourselves going when down in Dublin. I thought that when you went to your local councillors, they might help. I had the Fine Gael and are in power. They would try and help somehow, but I was brushed under the carpet and have had to sort everything out. Did you go to... I'm not taking away from your point, I understand. And listen, I hope everything's going well for you, and you as a family all get home really soon. But with the Department of there's the welfare not be able to help out in that regard? I wonder. You know, I don't know how it is now, but back in the day there was I can't remember the name either. I'm blank today for some reason. But I wonder, would there be any support from welfare in that regard that might be able to help you through? I can't remember the exact name of it, but look, we'll look into that as well. Hi, Greg. I highlighted and challenged the senior manager of a government agency over the cover-up of criminal fraud, and since I've done this, I've been facing direct and indirect reprisal. Give us more details. That should not be the case. What if it's management? We were talking about bullying yesterday and the importance of businesses making sure there's no bullying going on in the workplace. But this caller asks, what if it's the management that does the bullying and the supervisors are all stuck up management's backside and related? Nobody to report them to, or you will be forced out. Well, there's always, I mean, do they have a HR company? I understand exactly where you're coming from, and I know constructive dismissal and all that type of stuff. If you can move, though, why be unhappy? If you can at all move, you should. We waited 3.5 weeks for a bed and a chair for a cancer patient to come. By the time it all came, the patient was back in the hospital. I was told not to touch it because if I damaged it, I would be held responsible. Now I'm told that there's no staff for 2 to 3 weeks to put it in my garage or deliver it back to the stores itself. This is disgraceful, yet patients are sitting waiting on this equipment to help their loved ones. Yeah, indeed, I've heard of that stuff before, medical equipment. Hi, Greg. I've been waiting over 16 years for Gardaí to take a statement in regards to sexual abuse, and any statements I've made as a child have disappeared, and notes regarding sexual abuse while in foster care have gone missing. Even the guard and social worker that took them don't know where they went. I'm just wondering, is there anyone else in the same position? Why would you have to wait 16 years for Gardaí to take a statement? I mean, if you say that you were the victim of a crime, you should you not be able to walk into the Garda station today and say, I was the victim of a crime 16 years ago and I wish to make a statement. I wouldn't be sitting around waiting for them to call. Maybe I'm being naive there, and there's different rules for historic cases, but if you are the victim of a crime, you shouldn't have to wait for your statement to be taken.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com.
Christmas party nights at the Silver Tassie. Drinks reception, 4-course festive meal, live music by the Logues, Jim Devine and more power to your elbow. For dates and bookings, call the Silver Tassie Hotel, proud sponsors of today's show.
Some years ago, I was the victim of a serious crime. The person serving a life sentence for that crime now has an opportunity to apply for parole. But I also have an opportunity to have my voice heard by the parole board.
Victims of a serious crime. Your voice counts in the parole process. Find out more and register at gov.ie/parole board or call 01 474 8770.
Uno, dos, tres. A hain, a do, a tree. 1, 2, 3. The Arona, the Ateca and the Tarraco. 3 great SUVs from Seat. And when you order now, you can enjoy 3 years free tyre insurance and 3 years roadside assistance. Plus 3 flexible payment options to purchase your new Seat. Visit seat.ie to discover even more of our fantastic offers. Great things come in threes at DMG Motors Donegal Town. And while I have 3 seconds, allow me to say that yes, terms and conditions apply.
Do you need a UK address? Save hundreds of euros on custom charges shopping online with Space Hub Dairy. We provide a full virtual address mailbox service for all your business and personal use. Save hundreds, possibly thousands on custom charges with Space Hub Dairy. Call 048 71 87 8077 or online spacehubdairy.com for more details.
Early Black Friday savings have started at McElhoney's Ballybuffet. Discover unmissable offers this week with major savings on women's, men's, kids' clothing and footwear, plus amazing jewellery, beauty and home offers. Can't make it in store? Get Black Friday offers online at mcelhoneys.com with free delivery when you spend over €69.
Join John Breslin and the Around the Northwest team this Thursday at the Central Hotel, Donegal Town from 12 to 2:30pm ahead of the DLDC Business Showcase event taking place on Friday, 24th of November. That's John Breslin this Thursday live from the Central Hotel, Donegal Town.
Here's a sneak preview of your future.
You might soon possibly own something worth a lot of money. Stay tuned to the 9 to Noon show for more details.
Okay, Gary Anderson is the co-owner of Killybegs Seafood Shack and Anderson's Boathouse Restaurant and joins us on the programme now. Good morning, Gary.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Right, what is the impact on our response to the war in Ukraine had on Killybegs and your business, I suppose?
Well, it's really hampered our ability to trade, especially in the midweek period where we'd have been depending on day trippers, visitors coming and staying in the town. As it would traditionally be quieter at this time of the year, it's really dropped off a cliff edge this year. Because there's very, very little hotel accommodation available in the town. Killybegs is a very industrial town. There's an awful lot of our existing accommodation now taken up with people that are actually working on projects within the fishing industry, the boat building industry, and even the town regeneration. So it's leaving very little for what we would consider to be our customer base of visitors to come and stay.
And it's really quite frustrating, isn't it? Because Killybegs stock is really quite high at the moment, you know, with the cruise ships coming in, the development that's taking place, its general broad representation. Now is the time you'd be hoping in your business to be sort of capitalising on that high stock, but it's not the case at all.
No, well, that's true. Killybegs have been moving, in a very positive way towards tourism. And the need, even when we had 2 hotels and the big guest house that was kind of providing budget accommodation available to us, we were at the point of needing more accommodation because, Slieve League being such a visitor attraction, we were kind of becoming the gateway town to Slieve League. And that's really just ground to a halt. I mean, this summer didn't perform the way other summers have done. We've, seen big reductions in our numbers, and that's just due to the fact that people can still visit Slieve League, but they can't stay locally. And that's really hampering the nighttime economy in Killybegs.
And it leaves you in a difficult position in that, you're on the record saying that you understand what we have to do here. You're not speaking out in any way to try and, make the Ukrainian community feel uncomfortable, but you also do have to speak out to protect your business interests as well. And fair play for speaking out and striking that balance in the conversation, because it's a tough one. This is your livelihood and your family and your future.
Yeah, and our staff, they're getting reduced hours now in a way that we wouldn't have foreseen in the past. And it's, that impacts everybody. Everybody's got rent to pay, a mortgage to pay, and they depend on us to provide them with the work in order to do that. And you feel that you're not fulfilling your commitment to your staff as well. But Donegal really needs an increase in population. We need this Ukrainian influx of people to come and stay and live and become part of our communities. What's not healthy is the fact that our hotels are taken up and there's no light at the end of the tunnel. There's no sign of this easing. Every other day you read there's a new hotel going over to direct provision or whatever they want to call it. And that's just taking jobs out. It's taking money out of the economy. It's affecting our suppliers. Well, not the suppliers so much because they're still supplying the hotels and with the food. But it's having a big impact on local economies.
So just to give us an idea, Gary, you've been given an example of someone visiting the area. I think it was Carrick they were going to, and they had an overnight stay, but struggled to get accommodation.
Yeah, they were travelling for a funeral, and the closest they could stay was Bundoran. That was during the summer months. Wow. We've got the regeneration going on in Killybegs. There's people that are working on that are actually having to stay in Balbuffet at the moment in order to commute now to Killybegs to do their part of the project. And it just doesn't seem normal that we're giving up such a large percentage of what we have as a community. What we need as a community to continue to grow, and there's no plan to change this or to there's no developments going on to build housing for the Ukrainians that have come here. It just seems that they live in hotels now and there's no future for them either, if that's what the best our government are going to provide them with.
And the difficulty is
we need to integrate them.
You're not going to get many in the hotel industry that are part of these schemes speaking out either, because they effectively have 100% capacity 365 days of the year. So in reality, from a business perspective, they're all right. We don't seem to have any alternative plans. So you're looking at, well, what's 2024 looking like? What's 2025 looking at? There's no plan, no solution, no nothing. So you believe COVID-type support should be brought in to support businesses like yours? I mean, that €10 million announcement, €10 million support fund announced by the government, I mean, that's spread very thinly as is, but it doesn't apply to businesses like yours. You're looking for a more coordinated response.
If I could get the perfect scenario, it would be something that helped subsidise wages at the moment to keep your employees in a comfortable lifestyle. The country seems to be able to find money for everything else, but we need to keep people working. On a night when you're doing maybe 10 customers, it's just not viable to have 5 or 6 staff working. So it's impacting everybody's livelihoods. But we need to find a way of supporting the staff in hospitality that have been put in very short time as a result of the downturn in the tourism economy.
I presume, too, we need to sort of have a proper conversation about this. I mean, obviously, the hotel solution is good for the government. It helps in what they're doing. It's good for the hotel industry, those that are involved in it, so they're not saying anything. So who's going to drive change here? Do you know what I mean? I think there needs to be a conversation whereby all parties get a say and say, well, what is the short, medium and long-term plans here? Because this is unsustainable. We supported businesses during COVID, so jobs would be there once COVID was over. That's what we were being told. What are we doing now to support businesses so that jobs and businesses will be there if and when the hotel accommodation returns to tourism?
Yeah, I mean, we have to look at that, and we're affecting future markets when people can't come and stay. And Donegal was never a bright spot for tourism. The Wild Atlantic Way has been massively positive in bringing people to Donegal. But, if you can't come and stay here, which I think about 55% of our hotel accommodation is occupied at the moment, it makes growth look very bleak for the future, because every customer that you get to the county brings another customer in the future.
Mm-hmm. And people daisy chain on a visit. They go to Bundoran or Donegal town. It's already been a struggle sometimes to try and get them to come on overnight or stay in Killybegs and then on further up the west. If you it's like the sea almost. Yeah. If you take a species out of it, it affects the general sort of culture of the water, if you know what I mean. And these changes, it's going to change things that will be very hard to get back to the way it were, I think, if we don't start addressing it now. The ecosystem will change beyond repair.
Well, you take an average hotel, I mean, in 2023, they'll have bookings out for 2024 into the summer season. They've got a book of business built up already, but when they're not actively seeking a book of business, when and if this situation changes, it's going to put them under an awful lot of financial pressure to actually ride out the storm until such a point as they've built up a regular repeat clientele again. You're effectively telling the people that were coming to you that we don't want you anymore. And you do that for 2 or 3 years, their habits will change. I see it with customers that used to come and stay in one of our hotels, and I've seen them in the restaurant once this year, but they've now moved to a different town because they just can't continue to repeat coming in from Northern Ireland. They can't continue to come down as regular as what they used to. It doesn't work for them anymore.
And also, too, and as I say, Gary, you've done it very eloquently in speaking out, though we are somewhat hamstrung, although not on this programme, but you can be somewhat hamstrung in that you feel that if you speak out, your words could be twisted to be anti-something or other, when it's clear that that's not the case, Gary, and you've emphasised that a number of times. But there are others that probably are going, yeah, I agree, but I don't want to speak out because I don't want to be labelled anti-this, that or the other. But that we need to be able to have open conversations that don't hurt people, because, these are jobs, livelihoods, regions that could change beyond recognition in years to come.
Yeah, I'm not anti anything. Donegal suffered from depopulation going by the last number of censuses over and over again. We have this issue of young people not being able to find housing, and the type of jobs that they're actually training for up here in Donegal don't exist on a large scale, and they're immigrating. So we need to replace that lost generation that happens every single year, unfortunately, with a new generation, and be that Ukrainians that we've brought in. We need them living here in Donegal, working in Donegal, becoming part of the fabric of society. But at the moment, they're just in limbo. It's not a healthy situation. And there's if there was a big development and you've seen the council were putting in, be it trailer parks or whatever type of temporary, semi-permanent accommodation, we would know that there was an end in sight. But right now, there's no end in sight.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
There's no way you can plan for the future in hospitality as it stands now.
And we can't forget, too, that we've been conditioned for hospitality and tourism to be one of our key sources of income in this country and employment, or in this county, sorry. Do you know what I mean? It's been set up like that. So, right, okay, Gary, listen, thanks for your time. I appreciate your comments, and you're coming on and making them with us. Take care. Gary Anderson there. I'll be back with the weather after these.
The 9 till noon show with the Silver Tassie Hotel. The perfect venue for a Christmas get-together, serving festive lunch, afternoon tea, dinner and drinks throughout December. Follow Silver Tassie Hotel on Facebook and Instagram.
At the Central Statistics Office, we're trusted to gather all sorts of information. So, we count exports, imports, airports and seaports. We count schools, pools and how many O'Tools? We count emissions, permissions and social conditions. We count beds, sheds and newlyweds. We count families, growing trees and diversity. Because this data informs important decisions on everything from economic activity to housing policy to what to call a new baby. And we can't do it without you. CSO. Count on us. We count on you.
For all your training needs, Northwest Forest Services Training Department Ballybuffet offer a wide range of training courses from training bodies such as NPTC City and Guilds, QQI Lantra and ABA International. They also now do quad courses in line with the new guidelines and regulations for all quad users. If you have a group, they can come to you. For a full list of training courses and availability, contact Northwest Forest Service Ballybuffet on 074 913233.
The Hyundai Electric family, designed for yours. The Ioniq 5 with a range of up to 507 kilometres. The all-new Kona with a range of up to 514 kilometres. And the Irish Car of the Year 2024, the Ioniq 6 with a range of up to 614 kilometres. Hyundai, our family, designed for yours.
Your local dealer is Divers Hyundai, Canal Road, Letterkenny. Call 9122 600.
Here at Century Complex, the Christmas countdown has begun. We're now taking bookings for Christmas parties, private dining, premier cinema experiences, school tours and more. Get in touch with our team on 074 9121976 or check out our website centurycinemas.ie for more information on Century Complex.
For fantastic Black Friday deals, visit Rossview Interiors in Letterkenny, where there's amazing offers on a large range of sofas, in stock and ready for delivery before Christmas. There's also huge savings on bedroom and occasional furniture, dining sets and Hollywood mirrors with dressing tables. The perfect Christmas gift. That's right now at Rossview Interiors, the home of better deals. At Rossview Business Park, Letterkenny, just off the Polestar roundabout.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by Grant. From condensing oil and HVO biofuel boilers to heat pumps and underfloor heating, you can trust Grant to heat your home. Visit grant.ie.
Don't forget to have your say on 086 60 25,000. That weather forecast, a cloudy, damp and blustery day with patchy light rain and drizzle, highs of 11 to 13 degrees. Okay. A caller says in Milford we didn't have the same amount of tourists as this part of the county, or Killybegs that is. It's ignored, sorry, let me read that again. In Milford we didn't have the same amount of tourists as this part of the county is ignored regarding tourists. But I must say we are delighted to have our Ukrainian friends in our town who are really integrated into the community and are circulating more money in our area. So it's a bonus for us in Milford to have Ukrainians in the town, as it is in Killybegs. But the problem is that the accommodation means that tourists aren't also able to come and stay, or overnighters, not tourists. Right, okay, one more before we go to a break. Mobile phones are not receiving or making calls in the Clonmany and Buncrana area for the past few days. Network is LYCA Mobile, which is probably piggybacking off one of the main providers. I don't know what's going on there. Anyone have any insight? Let us know. Right, the Silver Tassie Hotel and Seascape Spa are our sponsors for this week. And as an end-of-week prize, they're giving away their Relaxation Heaven package. It's a cracker. We have one question running all week. The winner will be announced on Friday. Of course, it's free for you to enter. We're using the regular telephone numbers. Here's the details as we head towards the news and obituary notices.
On this week's show, with thanks to our sponsors, the Silver Tassie Hotel and Seascape Spa, we're giving you the chance to win their Relaxation Heaven package. This luxurious 2.5-hour package includes an aromatic steam session and cocoon room, a hot towel, foot and back cleanse, an indulgent full body massage, a mini escape facial with scalp massage, all followed up with snooze room relaxation time and refreshments. To be in with a chance of winning this fantastic prize on Friday, simply answer the following question. What is the day after Thanksgiving known as in terms of shopping deals? Is it A, Black Friday, or B, Blue Friday? Text or WhatsApp your answer name and address to 086 60 25000.
Your one-stop shop this Christmas. Gift vouchers for the Silver Tassie Hotel and Seascape Spa are available online at silvertassiehotel.com or from hotel reception. The Silver Tassie, proud sponsors of today's show.
Before you settle on a new hybrid, take the Nissan Qashqai e-Power Challenge. The Nissan Qashqai e-Power is a hybrid, so you don't have to plug in. But unlike other hybrids, it always drives in electric mode. You get the superior, smooth and quiet driving experience of an electric car all of the time. Take the Nissan Qashqai e-Power Challenge at your local Nissan dealer today. You'll never look back. Nissan, innovation that excites.
Mr. Blue Sky, please tell us why. The Lotto jackpot is an estimated €6 million. Play responsibly in-store, in-app or at lottery.ie. The National Lottery. It could be you.
More and more people are moving to rural Ireland, but we're not here in Donegal for a slower pace of life.
We're here because rural Ireland is alive.
Brimming with ideas and energy.
The only thing holding us back is slow broadband. It's cat. Pure glacial.
So why wait? Imagine broadband speed gives us the freedom to connect without compromises. Imagine Broadband is connecting homes and businesses in your community right now. For better service and faster broadband faster, switch to imagine.ie. Imagine. Faster broadband faster.
Subject to location and availability.
See 80s pop sensations to Pow live for one night only Friday 24th of November, St. Colum's Hall, Derry. Performing all their hits, Heart and Soul, Valentine and their #1 classic power ballad, China in Your Hand. Plus many, many more. This is a night not to be missed. See to Pow live in their only Irish show Friday 24th of November. St. Colum's Hall, Derry. Tickets available from musiccapital.org and to pow.co.uk.
Change is the only constant in business. So whether you're starting or growing your business, our dedicated business teams will always be here to support you every step of the way. Because the best businesses never stop beginning. Search Bank of Ireland Business. Bank of Ireland. Begin. Bank of Ireland is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Black Friday week at Sony Centre, Letterkenny. The best deals on Sony TVs, soundbars, cameras, Bluetooth speakers and headphones. Sony Centre, Letterkenny, the destination for Sony in the Northwest.
Special offers at Meehan's of Rafo. Men's bootcut jeans only €35. Stretch jeans also available. Tough stuff trousers only $29.99. There's a large selection of diesel hoodies and half zips. Also stocking shirts and jumpers up to 5XL. Meehan's of Rafo. Gift vouchers also available.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's Donna Marie Doherty with the news at 10 o'clock. It's hoped additional funding will be made available to alleviate ongoing flooding in the Trenta area of Letterkenny. Some improvement works have already been carried out in the area, and Donegal County Council has confirmed an application for funding to extend works is to be submitted for climate adaptation. Councillor Kieran Brogan says in the interim, a vital signage is erected to warn road users at times of flooding.
We've had a lot of funding spent there now, and as we speak, it's an advanced stage of completing that works. There's still areas that we need to apply for more funding. I've got confirmation that we are applying again. In the short term, I want just to get signs to be erected in that area, because a lot of residents are very concerned about the risks they take when they're making the journey to and from their homes. It's been a big issue in that area, and I'm glad it's moving along now, and I want to commend our own council team for the work they're doing, and indeed the landowners.
Our take-home pay is going to be affected by an increase in PRSI. The amount we pay is set to rise from next October. It will mean the average worker's pay will reduce by €46 every year. Business correspondent Joe Lynham says one of the rationales for the decision is to keep the pension age as it is.
This is to pay for us having made a decision, or the government having made a decision, not to raise the pension age beyond 66. You have to pay for all these extra pensions. So it means that employers and employees will have to pay more money. Their take-home pay will go down, and the gross cost of employing someone will go up for employers.
Bundoran is seeing a number of developments, including a €200,000 revamp of its playground. Councillor Michael McMahon says the 25-year-old play park has served locals and visitors alike. The development of 42 housing units and a €350,000 outdoor diner has also been welcomed. Councillor McMahon says some works have already commenced.
I'm very pleased that we're getting our fair share, and housing, as I said earlier on, is very, very important, and this is a state-of-the-art housing with 42 houses. We've quite a number of people on the housing list, both in the Bundoran and the Ballyshannon and the local area. We also have ready to start the outdoor diner in the west end of the town to the tune of a little over 350,000. It was held up a little while there by the department, but we're ready to go on that.
The age limit to buy cigarettes could rise from 18 to 21. A public consultation on the issue is set to get underway this week. A number of countries have stepped up their efforts to curb cigarette use among teenagers. Professor Deirdre Murray, Director of National Cancer Registry, says raising the age limit would reduce access to the product.
There are a number of evidence-based interventions that you can use to reduce the risk at any age, and that is if you reduce their access, increase the price, and well-designed mass media campaigns. And for that I mean things like advice on packets about how to quit and where to go, when to quit. So this would fit into the first one, in my view, which is reducing access.
2 public consultation events are due to take place in relation to the Buncrana to Carndonagh Greenway project. The project is currently at phase 2, which involves the development and assessment of potential route corridors to determine a preferred option. With more, here's Eamon Thursday.
A number of route corridor options have been identified in the first non-statutory public consultation held in April of this year. The purpose of this public consultation is to inform the public of the option selection process and to invite feedback on these route corridor options. 2 in-person events are due to take place. The first is in the Inishowen Gateway Hotel, Wednesday, December 6th from 2 p.m. until 8 p.m. The second, Carndonagh Public Service Centre, on Thursday, December 7th from 2 p.m. until 8 p.m. Members of the project team will be available to discuss any queries or concerns regarding the project. Public displays will be made available from the 8th of December until Thursday the 11th of January, and there will also be the option to provide feedback online.
Looking to weather, it's to be a cloud, damp and blustery day with patchy light rain and drizzle. Highs of 11 to 13 degrees and fresh to strong westerly winds. That's all for now from Highland Radio News. The next news update's at 11 o'clock. In the meantime, keep up to date with the latest local news on our website, highlandradio.com. For myself and the news team, good morning. The obituary notices this Wednesday morning, November 22nd. The death has taken place of Charlie Robinson, Gortalaban, Letterkenny. Wake will take place at the family home in Gortalaban today and tomorrow, strictly from 12 p.m. to 9 p.m, with family time strictly from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. each day and on the morning of the funeral. Funeral service will take place in Dunfanaghy Presbyterian Church at 12 p.m. on Friday, with burial afterwards in Gortally Cemetery, Letterkenny. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if desired to Donegal Hospice and the Oncology Unit, Letterkenny University Hospital, care of Pascal Blake, Funeral Director. The death has taken place of Phil Melly Farragon's Lettermack Award. Phil's remains are reposing at his home in Lettermack Award. Funeral mass tomorrow at 12 noon in St Bridget's Church, Lettermack Award, with interment afterwards in the Old Cemetery. The death has taken place of Ruby McConnell, née Elliott, 28 Glebe Park, Sion Mills. Remains are reposing at her home. Funeral leaving her home this afternoon at 2:15 for 3 o'clock Requiem Mass in St Teresa's Church, Sion Mills, followed by interment in St Mary's Cemetery, Melmount. The Requiem Mass can be viewed live on churchmedia.ie. The death has taken place of Mary Doherty, Devlin Ray Carrigart. Her remains are reposing at her late residence. Funeral from there today, going to the Church of St John the Baptist for Requiem Mass at 11 a.m, followed by interment in the adjoining cemetery. Mass can be viewed live on the Meva Parish Facebook page. Family time before the funeral this morning. For more details regarding to wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Whether you're adventuring, salsa dancing, or you just popped out for some milk, you're not always home. With Unpost, that's not a problem. You can set up a safe spot for us to put your deliveries when you're not in, or rearrange delivery to your local post office. And if something's not right, you can quickly return it with a collection from your door or drop at your local post office. Online shopping, made easy with Unpost. Unpost, for your world.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
You're welcome back to the programme. We were talking in the first hour about many things, including gift vouchers. Hi, Greg. With regards to gift vouchers and gift cards, I was recently caught out with the Carn gift card. It's like a one for all. After a year, there is a $2.50 deducted per month. I lost over €25. Was not told this at the time of purchase. There are general rules now governing gift cards, not specific to any one particular type of card, but it's up to people themselves, the people that are providing them, you know what I mean, what rules they apply. But you can't have an expiry date on them now, for an example, like you used to be. The 25 5 off vouchers only last a week in Dunn's. 25 off 5 vouchers, is that right? 25 5 off is what it is, yeah. I've been gifted and I've bought the Carn gift vouchers because I thought they were a good idea. There's no info to say that there is a service charge deducted if they're not spent. The 3rd of the 28th is the expiry. It doesn't say about the deduction, but in the sleeve of the card. Not everyone keeps the sleeve. $2.50 a month was lost, so I soon spent it. This is happening not just in Carndonna, but across the country. $2.50 per month is steep. It wouldn't be too bad if they told you that it would be deducted, but they don't. It's on the sleeve, but I take your point. On the Dunn Stores vouchers, realistically, are we really saving anything shopping in Dunn's? I used to use the vouchers, but sometimes when I go in, I'm just buying stuff to make up the amount for the voucher. Tesco, Aldi, Lidl need to shop around. Well, you see, I suppose it depends on the nature of your shopping. There's lots of people that do a weekly shop, you know, and if there's a number of people in the house, they go above the amount to get the voucher back and then can use that in the next shop. And it does feel like a real saving. I mean, we heard earlier on from people who had a €35 voucher and it was lost. I mean, that's a big chunk of your shopping down the drain, isn't it? So I can understand why people see it as value, but yeah, shop around. If there was an election coming up, the TDs would be tripping over one another to help that lady with her costs. That's the lady down in Dublin with the premature baby. My question is this: how many more years are we supposed to have these people staying in Ireland? I walked the main street the other day and you would not think you were in Ireland. Now, I'm not sure what these people you refer to is, to be honest with you. I'm not sure there's a time frame on their staying here either. Certainly Ukrainian people can come and live and stay here for as long as they like. If you're talking about international protection residents, well, they're assessed and either sent home or they're allowed to stay, and once they're allowed to stay, they're here forever, if they so wish, if that's what they want. Greg, parking your car is a responsible job. When you pull in for petrol, you be careful not to put diesel in. Simple. No ifs or buts. If you don't understand the signs, you should not be allowed to drive. This is how people get killed. Not very sympathetic to our earlier caller, Margaret. I'd write to the Minister in the Dáil to get that money back. This is the €80. Just for those of you that tune in for the second hour and missed the first for whatever reason, we spoke to a lady who parked her car in what once was, she believes, a disabled parking bay down in Letterkenny. It's now been changed to a electric car charger. She parked in there, was given the ticket, appealed and said, look, it's your fault. She says there was no signage there and it was a genuine mistake. I would write to the ministers in the Dáil to get that money back. My sister has a parking card and it's so hard to get a place. We've just got another bill for that privilege. That warden had no cop on. They think they are the sheriff, says Kathleen. I would check at a Garda station to see if the space is registered as disabled parking or if it was changed. All spaces registered with guards, the parking crowd have no sympathy. That's an interesting point to see if it's formally been changed to a electric car parking space. With the lady parking in the wrong spot, it was a genuine mistake. Ballybofey has a few disabled parking spaces. There's one outside a chemist. There is no drop curb. As someone who works with people in wheelchairs, you have to take people out onto the road to get out because there's no dropped curb. I'm sure Ballybofey is not the only place that has this issue. Indeed. We were speaking to about another area close to Ballybofey where there was a crossing with no drop curb. I wonder, was that ever resolved? What I cannot stand, says this listener, is able-bodied people who perhaps have a family member with a disability using the space when the disabled person isn't even on board. That's not what the sticker is for. I see people doing this all the time. How disrespectful. Yeah, it is. But also, you have to be really clear, though, who has the badge and who doesn't, because not all disabled and also not all disabilities are as visible as you might think. So it is quite possible that someone may appear to be able-bodied or however one might want to describe that, but they actually do officially have a disability and do officially have one of these cards for parking. So as I say, we can't jump to conclusions either. Vehicles jumping temporary traffic lights below the petrol station at Balliar on the Kilmacrennan Road had to sit at the green light while 6 vehicles ploughed on. It's an accident waiting to happen, Greg. Indeed. Especially in the mornings, people tend to disregard those traffic lights, don't they? They wouldn't if there was a patrol car sitting there, though. Greg, I've never heard of a parking appeal being successful. They have a blank refusal policy. You're better off not paying the fine and going to court. At least a judge will listen and show common sense. But it is a lot of hassle and there is risk there as well. Had a couple in on customs charges, which I suppose is not surprising given that it's Christmas time. This listener ordered 2 calendars from the UK. Post and package, €26.88. Then comes an Irish customs charge of €4.02 plus a post office fee of €3.50. Now the total cost is $34.40. Everything adds up. Wow. Okay, you have to be really careful. Any shopping I do for items I can't get locally is done through Amazon for the most part, and they do charge the customs charge at the beginning, so at least you do know. But a couple of calendars, I didn't realise there'd be a customs charge on calendars. Last one before we get the bingo numbers. Hi Greg, it's not just people parking on disabled bays, it's also people parking on footpaths. I observed 4 cars parked on the footpath at Glencar Road, Letterkenny on Saturday evening. How do wheelchair users negotiate these without going onto the road? Also, people with children in buggies and visually impaired people as well that might use an aid for walking. Cars should not be parked up on footpaths. I think most people agree.
It's time for NCBI Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Wednesday, the 22nd of November. You're playing on the blue sheet. The reference number is S13. It's game number 47. The numbers are 66, 26, 14, 78, 6, 51, 33, 23, 86, and finally 80. Phone your claim to 91048333 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your NCBI bingo information at highlandradio.com.
Make it a roast dinner to remember with Dunnes Stores. Enjoy Board Bia quality assured beef sirloin roasts from just $14.99 each. A selection of show-stopping sides like cauliflower cheese and potato gratin, any two only €5.50. And your choice of delicious desserts like lemon roulade or strawberry cheesecake, two for €10. Plus, with our 10.50 grocery voucher, you save even more. Make Christmas for everyone at Dunnes Stores. Terms and conditions apply. Voucher can be used to next grocery shop of €50 or more.
Black Friday deals at Brian McCormick Sports and Leisure. 20% discount on Hoka, Brooks, New Balance and On footwear. Check in store and online for details. 20% off Adidas running spikes and 20% off Under Armour and Adidas clothing. 30% off Donegal GEA Dolman range. Black Friday discounts at Brian McCormick Sports and Leisure and on bmcsports.ie.
Businesses, order your gift vouchers for Christmas now from BizPrint the Printers. Also personalised calendars, Christmas cards, diaries, draw tickets and much more at great prices from BizPrint, Port Road, Letterkenny. See bizprint.ie.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the Late Late Toy Show. But wait, Eclipse Cinemas Lifford Strabane are offering kids take-home popcorn trays with sealed homemade popcorn, drinks and sweets, plus other take-home cinematic treats. Pre-order yours via messenger, email or by calling Eclipse Cinemas Lifford Strabane.
The 9 till Noon Show with the multi-award-winning Silver Tassie Hotel. Planning dream weddings for generations. Email weddings at silvertassiehotel.ie for a brochure or your private show around.
Right, so everywhere you look, it's Black Friday, this, that and the other. And Black Friday isn't always as it seems. As I mentioned earlier in the week, I had 3 items in my Amazon basket that I couldn't source locally. Went back in to consider checking out, as you do. The items had increased in price, really quite significantly. So I left them in there, and lo and behold, yesterday back down in price as well as a Black Friday sale with 38% off. So as I say, be careful. Not everything is always as it seems. There's one way you can get around Black Friday, and that's to think Green Friday. Clara Heron is editor of the Irish Country magazine. Good morning to you, Clara.
Good morning, Greg. How are you?
I am doing good. Great to have you on the programme. Yeah, you're encouraging people, aren't you? We all should, really, to think about shopping local as well, because as I've outlined myself and I've seen it with my own experience, everything isn't always as it seems.
Yeah, well, that's definitely something to be very mindful of with the kind of these massive discounts that we're seeing for Black Friday, that not all is always what it seems. But yeah, another way you can kind of, I suppose, embrace the shopping season is to look out for Green Friday deals. So I think, we all know now this kind of big American tradition that's come to our shores of Black Friday, which is all about, buy, big discount. There's a huge amount of pressure, I think, that comes with it every year to kind of, be ready for these deals to land and to hit. And I suppose Green Friday is the antithesis to that. It's very much about, actually considering your purchases. Do I actually need this? I suppose there's 3 main things to it. It originated outside of Ireland, but in Ireland we've really adapted it, I think, and there seems to be really growing support for it each year. This year in particular, we've seen a massive amount of support for it from our readers, certainly. But it's really, for us, I suppose, the fact that it's Green Friday, we can immediately say the number one element to it is to support local, support Irish, right?
Yeah,
so
and we can back that up with figures too, because we know what spending locally means to the local economy.
Absolutely, yeah. So for every €20 spent with a local maker or producer, that's actually worth €80 to the Irish economy. So you really can, make a statement with your spending in terms of supporting local makers and producer. It makes a huge difference. And as anyone who, runs their own business will tell you, it is that genuine thing of, the people behind the purchase doing a happy dance when they see the sales come in. It's genuine people that we work with in our communities, that use use our local services, use our local post office to send out the packages. You know, it really does make a difference to our whole community when we buy locally. But there's also another kind of thread to it, I suppose, and it is that it's green. It's about shopping sustainably, looking for purchases that are ethically made. So again, that really favors local producers, because quite often things might be handmade. You know, they're made using locally sourced ingredients, and they're made in a slow and considered way, and they're often inspired by, you know, the people around us and what we need, and even our landscapes and our environments. You know, so it's trying to shop in a sustainable way. So, you know, again, if you're shopping more locally, you've less air miles are involved. Things aren't being shipped from countries on the other side of the world. You know, you've a lower carbon footprint. And I would say as well, a lot of the time, the customer service is excellent. You know, you've a person and a face that you can go back to.
Just in relation to that, you see, a lot of people do their weekly shopping online now. And, you know, there are a number of people still like to shop in person, but it is getting smaller. It's much different to what it might have been 10 years ago. I think in terms of e-commerce, a lot of Irish companies did make great advances, particularly during COVID. But I think they really need to be, like, even something as simple as having a shopping basket in their e-commerce part of their website, stuff like that. I think they are going to have to operate at a level to your Amazons and your whatever is your wishes or whatever. You know what I mean? They can't rely on our goodwill to say, okay, I'm going to spread a bit of love locally. Do you know what I mean? I think they really do have to get into that space more aggressively, because, as I say, I'm shocked the amount of people I know that don't even go to do their food shopping anymore in person.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we do require convenience now as well, don't we? That's the world we live in. COVID totally amplified that and accelerated that. But I mean, even when you're shopping online for your grocery shops, you can very easily, you know, identify what food products even are produced locally as well. You can, you know, so there's a way to really.
And in fact, it might be a little bit easier than that rush of the aisles.
Exactly. Yeah, totally. And it's just a case of familiarizing yourself. You know, if you want to buy, you know, a jam or something like that, quite often the supermarkets, to be fair to them, they are stocking more and more Irish producers on their shelves because the demand is there. Like we certainly see it from our readers that they want options that are locally produced. So the more we put our spending power behind that, the more that they can cater to that for us as well. And, you know, we can put it in our online baskets when we're doing the grocery shop. But I suppose I will say we certainly have found a lot of small, medium-sized businesses, you know, they have tailored their services to e-commerce now as well, and they're boxing really clever with Green Friday too, because look, the reality is when you're a small maker or producer, you just can't compete with the big guys. You cannot compete with these massive retailers that can do, you know, 2 for 1 or these huge 70% discounts. It's not realistic. Like I say, a lot of the time,
even some of those big retailers, you know, and I've mentioned Amazon, and I know that's a store, right, and not a you know, not a business itself. But I mean, I can demonstrate that the Black Friday savings are not savings at all. We also do we also have to challenge this perception that buying internationally is cheaper than buying local? Because, you know, maybe people should reevaluate. I think local businesses have done very well in recent years to actually say, right, we are actually going to have to deliver some discount or some value, you know, but maybe people haven't been in that space and don't realise it and have this perception that local means more expensive.
I think the question there, Greg, is what do you value? You know, if cheap is cheap, and there's no disrespect to anyone, you know, if you need those cheaper purchases, those budget purchases, and look, we're all in a cost of living crisis. The reality is we need bargains. You know, at certain times of the year, there is an immense pressure, particularly on families, to spend and to buy and to have something under the tree, right? So, of course, if you're looking for bargains, go for it. But I suppose if you are in a position to consider, right, what is of value to me? If it's thinking, okay, look, I can do Green Friday instead of Black Friday, instead of going for something that's going to be shipped from a long way away from an international store, like you say, for the cheapest element and made maybe in a low quality way. I'm going to look, you know, nearby. I'm going to look in my community for a quality product. And like I say, a lot of these brands, they're boxing clever. Instead of saying, right, we're going to give you this massive discount, they might say, look, you buy something from us and we're going to donate to a charity. You buy a product from us and we'll donate a meal to someone in need this year, or we'll plant a tree, or we'll support another independent retailer. So the companies themselves are getting involved, and they're trying to see that they can offer value to their customers that isn't just some massive discount that takes away from the quality of their products that they've likely spent a very long time producing, that's been made in a really high quality way. So they're trying to offer their customers other things that might be of value to them. I know certainly for me, I'm definitely trying to buy less stuff, but when I am making a purchase, I'm thinking about it and I'm investing maybe a little bit more, but I know it's something that I'm going to have for years. I'm going to repair and mend, and I'm going to take good care of, and I'm going to really appreciate and get a sense of, something special for my purchase, because I know it's been made by somebody, down the road.
Yeah, that sounds far more rewarding as well. Kira, thanks for your time this morning. Lovely to chat to you. Have a lovely day. Kira Heron there, editor of the Irish Country magazine. Let's get to some of your comments here. I left Donegal for London in the early 80s as there was very little for people my age. Those days you either went to the UK or New York. Roll on 40 years and from what I can see, very little has changed. Once you finish school, you head to college and never come back. There's very little for the young ones to do except pub it. It seems no one has sat down and come up with a plan how to keep the young people at home. Another, Greg, we provided our granny flat to some Ukrainian people over 15 months ago with the expectation that it would be a short-term arrangement. It's becoming a worry now that the government seem to have no plan for the long term. We did not sign up for it to be a long-term plan. Do you, in that situation, is there a contract renewal situation or is it rolled on? How does that work? Gary said that the young people emigrating had to be replaced, but if the government got their act together and made Ireland more attractive for our young people to live, we would not have such a large immigration problem. I think the point Gary was making is this always has been a movement of people. I remember going back 30 years ago, no, it's not 30 years, 20, 25 years ago, that working in certain parts of Donegal, there was a massive Eastern European population working in hospitality and what have you. By choice, they came here because there wasn't Irish people to do those jobs, and many of them then left and went back to wherever they had come from. It's always been the case. We can't blinker ourselves to history. So I think Gary's probably referencing, people will choose to leave their country and go somewhere else, and vice versa. Now, there are then young people that are leaving because they've no choice, and that is something that really needs to be addressed. But thank you very much for your text. Morning, I think hotels and student accommodation should never have been made available for outside accommodation. Accommodation in hotels is only one factor. These hotels also were available for weddings and lots of other family gatherings. These hotels also gave so much employment, especially to our young students, and in some cases made the difference between being able to go or not go to college. It's just one of the many things that should never have happened, believes a listener there. I recently got a voucher for Just Eat. Every time I order online and try to put in the voucher number, it says invalid. I found it impossible to get to talk to anyone in Just Eat. Has this happened to anyone else? I wonder, has it been used? Who gave you the voucher? Maybe they've already just ate. But anyway, listen, if anyone else has had issues with that, I live in the sticks, so I have no insight into that whatsoever. James, how are you getting on?
Was all right. I heard your lady on about getting the ticket for parking in what she thought was a disabled parking bay. This is just typical, Greg. What's the first casualty at any stage if there's something going on in a building, and indeed government buildings as well too? First thing you'll see is maybe the equipment parked up in a disabled parking space. And I think it was ridiculous that if they removed the parking bay down there and it's under local authority control when there's a traffic warden on it, that it wasn't replenished with a new one close in the vicinity.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because I missed that point, James, in that, I was so focused on her her situation. I didn't realise, yes, of course, we've taken a disabled parking space and transferred it to an electric, when there are so many able-bodied inverted comma spaces or new spaces that could be created. I never thought about that, James. It's a really good point.
Yeah, the other thing I would check, seeing as local authority, was there any European Structural Fund money used initially when that whole thing was built and extended and whatnot? because there is very strong obligations under European law for structural funds as to meeting criteria such as minimum amount of disabled parking spaces, etc. Now, I'm not saying that'll apply to that project, but it's something, now when I would have been involved with the European Disability Forum, it was very strong on using it as pressure on local authorities to meet the requirements. I mean, you know, Greg, as well as myself, that in Letterkenny, whilst councillors make individual attempts, and the council themselves sometimes make good attempts. You take a look at Letterkenny Main Street, most of the parking bays, disabled parking bays, are on the left-hand side, which means it's very, very unsafe and difficult, particularly for people trying to transfer to a wheelchair, because that's opening out onto the traffic, your driver's door. So, you know, they've made attempts to try and address things like that, although they haven't, but then they go and shoot themselves in the foot by doing something like this.
Yeah, and some of those parking spaces you talk of, James, they tick a box, but they don't necessarily actually serve their purpose.
Now, like, I'm a member of the PPN, Public Participation Network, and co with the County Council, where there is a community voice. And I mean, every person around that table are tasked with, as well as many other things, upholding the rights of minorities, such as people with disabilities. And, I mean, it's under local authority control, because if it wasn't, then the council traffic warden wouldn't have a say in who parks where. That's like the supermarkets, they're all private. It's up to them themselves. They can clamp you if you go into a disabled parking bay without a current badge. But there's another thing as well, Greg, if I may say. I'm sorry,
of course.
I'm rushing a wee bit short of time.
No, listen, take your time, James, please. Don't feel you're under pressure to get through everything. Just take your time, because they're good points, and it's important to get this message out there too.
I've always said that with rights come responsibilities. I know a lot of people with disabilities who would qualify for a parking card, but for some reason either themselves or nobody in the house looked about it. And if they are parked in a disabled parking bay without a valid ticket, that's what I'm saying about with rights come responsibility. It is your responsibility to look up at that card. Now, if you were temporarily disabled, say with a broken leg or something like that there, you wouldn't qualify for the card. But I know, anybody with a broken leg or a broken arm, even trying to park near doors, shops and things like that, they are temporarily disabled, and it actually has given a lot of people, have said to me, an insight into what it's like for life for people with disabilities on a day-to-day basis. But generally speaking, with rights come responsibilities, and that lady obviously wasn't trying to defraud or make use of disabled space that she wasn't entitled to, and she has a badge holder and all. And I think the very least that the local authority should do is scrap that bill that they give her.
I think that would be it, because she's clearly a very honest and very lovely lady. She is a disabled badge holder, as you mentioned. The parking space used to be reserved for people with a disability. It was an honest mistake. She says the writing wasn't very clear. Do we really want to live in a society that doesn't say, right, okay, sorry, genuine mistake? That's a lady. I don't know how much she needs that €80, but I'd say she needs it more than the local authority does.
Well, could you? But I do know on certain situations you can contact various bodies on behalf of people and that. Can you maybe contact the Letterkenny Council and ask them, tell them it's been raised in the show, and that this shouldn't have happened? And secondly, if they have not replaced that disabled parking bay with another in the vicinity, I don't mean away at the end of the car park or anything like that, what are their plans to replace it?
Those wheels are already in motion, James. Also, a few people have texted in, and I think they've presumed, because someone was able to get out of a car and walk away, that they weren't entitled to a disabled badge. I think we need to remember too, James, and I mentioned it a little earlier, that all disabilities aren't as visible as one might expect them to be. So we have to,
People could have vascular issues there where they can't walk very far and they might be using crutches, but if it's in level ground, they may be able to walk that 50 metres maybe, or 20 metres or 10 metres or whatever. But you're quite right. I would have concerns, although that sort of everybody in the house is using the parking card at times. And I've seen it myself, because I knew the people, and I've seen it myself. I'm going into town, give me that old pass there, I'll be on and out, and then it's our challenge, why are you parking disabled? Just a minute.
Yeah,
with Letterkenny being one way.
Yeah.
There's one day I had to drive 3 times right round Letterkenny, the whole loop, before I could find a parking space.
Yeah, exactly. And those abusing the cards make it far more difficult for us to have the argument for people without cars not to use these spaces. Do you know what I mean? They're doing themselves or their family members who deserve the card a disservice in doing that. It's not a free pass to be bandied around the house.
No.
Yeah.
I do find, and this depends on your attitude to them, I do find if you politely point out about parking, most people that I've come across have been very apologetic. Oh yes, I know they usually think, oh God, sure, it's only going to be a minute or whatever, but I mean, I don't hold this going on all guns blazing. I say, what the F are you doing on that? That's what you've seen. That's going to get nobody anywhere. Generally speaking, people are generally good.
Yeah, all right.
They just didn't think or apologetic.
All right, thanks very much, James. Lovely to chat to you. Thanks for your various points there.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com.
Christmas party nights at the Silver Tassie. Drinks reception, 4-course festive meal, live music by the Logues, Jim Devine and more power to your elbow. For dates and bookings, call the Silver Tassie Hotel, proud sponsors of today's show.
How many life-changing conversations have you had? For the past 35 years, Hidden Hearing's expert audiologists have been having these conversations every day. They know how to listen and they have the experience to recommend life-changing hearing solutions, and it's never a one-size-fits-all approach. Fancy a life-changing conversation? Well, they're all ears. To book an appointment for a free hearing consultation today, visit hiddenhearing.ie. Hidden Hearing, your hearing is their expertise.
Do you need a UK address? Save hundreds of euros on custom charges shopping online with Space Hub Dairy. We provide a full virtual address mailbox service for all your business and personal use. Save hundreds, possibly thousands, on custom charges with Space Hub Dairy. Call 048 71 87 8077 or online spacehubdairy.com for more details.
I wonder, will it snow this Christmas? Because I wonder how I'm going to heat the house. Wonder, will I have enough left over for food and toys?
For families facing poverty, this is the wonder of Christmas. Please support the St. Vincent de Paul annual appeal. Donate at svp.ie or call 0818 176 176.
The massive Black Friday sale is now on at Patterson's The Hall, Lifford. Massive discounts on kitchens, beds, sofas, dining sets and giftware. There's up to 50% off selected mattresses in our sleep centre. Hundreds of products in stock and ready for delivery or collection. Open Monday to Saturday 9 a.m. till 5:30 p.m. with hot lunches served daily in our coffee shop. Get yourself down to Patterson's massive Black Friday sale today.
Looking for a good night's sleep? Restex Beds has you covered. Located at Mountaintop, Letterkenny. They are the best in the Northwest to get a quality bed or mattress. Come visit them today and wake up feeling rested and refreshed. Restex Beds, Mountaintop, Letterkenny.
The Cope Dunlow's Black Friday sale is here. Enjoy massive savings on electronics in our HubTech department. iPhone 11 64GB, now only €380. Samsung Galaxy A14, now €165. And the Canon Pixmar printer was €300, now €200. See the Cope Dunlow on Facebook and Instagram for more.
Okay, thanks for all your comments this morning. Another busy morning, which is fantastic because we get to know what you want to talk about, and what you're talking about is... There's plenty of room in Donegal in hotels. They're just too expensive, believes a listener. 2 nights, €600 for 2 people on a bed and breakfast basis. I spent €300 for 5 days in Portugal. That was room only, but it included flights. Well, you see, that's it. That sounds very expensive, probably Friday and Saturday or something. But when you say there are plenty of beds, there are many, many less beds. I think there's 45% of the beds that would have been here 2 or 3 years ago. That's going to put prices up because the demand is going to be there. So Hi, I live in Glenview, Ballabafay. I went away on 2 weeks' holidays on the beginning of November. I came back to find out the 5 bags of coal had been stolen. That comes from Leanne. Right, okay, that's interesting because we had someone else reporting coal stolen in Ballabafay. Another caller says Ardra is in a similar position to Killybegs as we only had one hotel in the town, but for the last few years it's closed to the public and has been turned over to Ukrainian people. The town has suffered badly as a result because there's no hotel accommodation available. That's coming in from Bridget. Ukrainians driving here in Ireland, by law, you have to display tax, NCT insurance. Why are Ukrainians not abiding like the rest of us as Irish citizens? We have to abide by the law and display these. There's no evidence that their vehicles are roadworthy. Well, the Gardaí have said on this programme that they're very keen to hear of any instances like that the same rules of the road apply to Ukrainian vehicles as apply to Irish vehicles. So, as I say, the guards sat here and said very clearly that is the case. Hi, Greg. Are you aware of any reason why the breast check van is not in Buncrana anymore for Inishowen clients? We did talk about that. Let me go back over the details. There was a reason, and it did come up before, and it was problematic. Another caller says, I work with disabilities and I parked my car on Main Street to shop with a few members. I told the traffic warden I might be 10 to 15 minutes more than the free 30 minutes. He said it was okay, but when I came back, I had a ticket. It was another traffic warden, so now I've decided to shop elsewhere. Yeah, you see, your number plate is tagged once, and then the second person must have tagged it and it was over the 30 minutes, and there you have it. The disabled permit is not a government freebie. It has to be purchased. No one said it was. Morning, Greg. As regards our take-home pay being reduced because of the pension age being kept at 66, could all the politicians' pension pots not be reduced to make up the money? They get pensions long before the age of 66. Thank you. And multiple pensions, in fact, as well. Yeah, I'm not really quite sure of what these changes are. What is it? 0.1% next year, 0.1%, then 0.2%. I don't know how that, because no one's explained it yet, what that means financially. Shopping discounts every Tuesday in Iceland. There's 10% off for people over 60. I know that there is in Iceland and Derry, not sure about other areas. They give you the discount as long as you have proof that you're over 60. All right, okay, fair play to them. SuperValue had it spend 40, get 10 off. Now it's spend 50 to get 10 off. Another, the 10 off 50 vouchers in Duns last 9 days. Yeah, but they're not used to last 2 weeks. I think that's where, and people have this 2-week shopping sort of plan, and now it's in between 1 week and 2 week, and it's thrown them off. Hi, Greg. The real Black Friday in the USA and worldwide was 60 years ago today when JFK was assassinated in Dallas, Texas. Does any of your listeners remember that day? Yeah, is it 60 years? Wow, okay. It feels just ever present because it's talked about every year and there's been so many films and documentaries and speculation and what have you. 60 years ago today, do any of you remember that day? Let us know. Call 074 91 25,000. What was it like once the news landed? What was the reaction? Hi, Greg. There was probably no customs charged for those calendars, but there was VAT. I recently ordered a gift from Etsy coming from Norway. Value $5.60. I was charged no customs but VAT at $180 on value plus P&P and a handling fee of $3.50 by An Post. Doesn't belong adding up, does it? A couple more before we take the break. So I want to bring Brendan Devaney in for a quick chat. There should be a balanced spread throughout the county in housing refugees and asylum seekers rather than cramming them all into Letterkenny. Sure, these other towns only have a handful. Well, that's completely untrue. There's a huge population in Milford, in Downings, in Killybegs, in Donegal Town. There's a massive population. There's well over 5,000. And I can tell you right now, they're not all in Letterkenny. There's hundreds scattered right across the county. But anyway, they say only a handful of these people, mostly Ukrainian integration, should mean a balanced spread of different nationalities throughout the county. Okay, I get you. Instead of creating ghettos in urban areas, the council had a responsibility here to there's plenty of places crying about population decline in Donegal. Native LK is full for Donegal natives. Okay, so you're talking about all different nationalities. My apologies, I'm not sure of the statistics in that regard. So you're saying there needs to be more of a balanced spread of international protection applicants and what have you. Okay, I understand. Hello, are these the spaces Margaret talked about? In this link, you can see 2 charging spaces on the left and 2 disabled spaces on the right. As far as I know, the charging spaces were converted from ordinary parking spaces and were never disabled spaces. I can still see where people may be confused when their charging logo on the road. That comes in for Dermot. Dermot, thanks for that. Thanks for your research. I can't open that link now, but I'll get the email and open it. And even if they're side by side now, Margaret got a little bit confused, perhaps because she was used to parking in that area or close to it. So either way, it was a genuine error, genuine mistake. Quick birthday request, and it's a very happy 13th birthday to Millie Worski in Craig and Ballybofey. Have a great day, Millie. Celebrating, of course. Lots of love from Granny Worski and your grandmother Carolyn, Uncle Kieran as well.
Christmas party nights at the Silver Tassie. Drinks reception, 4-course festive meal, live music by the Logues, Jim Devine and more power to your elbow. For dates and bookings, call the Silver Tassie Hotel, proud sponsors of today's show.
Easy Living Furniture present their massive Black Friday sale with huge discounts of up to 60% off. That's right, up to 60% off everything until Sunday. With absolutely everything reduced, including sofas, dining, bedroom and mattresses, and with 0% interest-free finance available with no deposit, the choice is easy. Black Friday sale ends Sunday at Easy Living Furniture, Crescent Link Retail Park.
Are you ready for unmissable magic? Are you ready for winter in Dublin? November's longer evenings when the city lights shine even brighter. Chock-a-block with festive fun in December. And unmissable live music and must-see events in January. That's 3 whole months of winter wonder just waiting for you. Get ready for the buzz of our bustling city streets. It's enchanting, unforgettable fun. Make your plans today at visitdublin.com. Winter in Dublin. It's magic. Brought to you by Folja Ireland.
It's the Black Friday sale at Right Price Tiles and Wood Flooring. We're offering our Black Friday deals all week. Get up to 70% off all tiles, all wood flooring and all bathware. Everything's reduced and everything's in stock. The 70% off Black Friday sale at Right Price Tiles and Wood Flooring. Stores nationwide. Sale now on.
Santa Claus speaking.
It's me, Santa, your trusty elf. I've got an urgent message from Cooney's Christmas shop.
Oh, my golly goodness. What's happening at Cooney's?
Well, Santa, they've gone all out this year. Their Christmas decor is bigger and better than ever.
Visit Cooney's Christmas shop, Letterkenny Retail Park, and feel the magic of Christmas. Santa approved.
With our Black Friday sale, get 20% off everything, excluding current offers, and Sunday.
Are you building a new home? Building requirements state that you must install a radon barrier. At FF Radon Systems, we supply and professionally install the fully certified barrier. For more information, call Liam at FF Radon Systems on 086 833 2749.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by Grant. From condensing oil and HVO biofuel boilers to heat pumps and underfloor heating, you can trust Grant to heat your home. Visit grant.ie.
A cloudy, damp and blustery day with patchy light rain and drizzle. Temperatures of 11 to 13 degrees in fresh to strong westerly winds. Right, just 2 days to go to the DV ball. He's in with us now, Brendan Devaney. Good morning to you. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, Greg. Thanks for having us.
All right, Friday the 24th in the Mount Errigal Hotel in Letterkenny is the venue for a charity ball being organised by former Donegal footballer and current everything, it seems, Brendan Devaney. And Brendan, we were just talking as the outbreak was playing there, and I was talking about, well, last year. It was 2 years ago since the first one. I was sure it was last year.
I think between, as you mentioned, COVID and that, Greg, we seem to have lost a track of time with a lot of things. Like nearly everybody says to me last year, but it was 2 years ago, Greg,
Yeah, and it was a great night 2 years ago, and it raised €24,000 for 3 charities, Plan International Ireland, Cancer Care West and Focus Ireland. And listen, in a way, the money being raised is incredibly important, but also it's almost incidental to a fantastic night out, especially if you love a sport. Do you get where I'm coming from? Like, it's not pushed left, right, and centre. This is just a cracking night out, Brent.
Yeah, that's it. And I think
if you don't like sport,
that's it. Great. Listen, there's actually going to be very little sport on this one. We've a couple of comedians coming. We have the likes of Danny Carroll, of course, aka Buster, Eric Roberts, influencers.
Well, he's everywhere. I don't know how he managed
Eric's
to get him.
Yeah, we pulled in Eric. Listen, fantastic to have him on board. Listen, we obviously have some footage in that from the trip to Togo earlier in the year. And we have different wee bits and pieces on the night. We have loads of prizes sponsored. I mean, Al McCavin has been rounding up there. I'd say there nearly be 2 or 3 prizes per table going out the door. People have been that kind and that. So as you said, Greg, I think it's the way forward is to, give people a night and they contribute to something a bit bigger.
And it is described as a ball, but it's chill, isn't it? I mean, you're not, you're not I mean, you can dress up. I've seen you. You look smart, but you know what I mean. You like to be able to sort of dress smart, casual too.
I think it suits things, because people talk about. I always think the black tie thing, particularly when we're raising money, we're sponsoring kids in the developing world. I think you're stepping about in the tux. I don't know. It wouldn't feel right.
I know
for me.
exactly.
But I think the dress smart is always good. I think everybody likes that. We have a lovely backdrop there. It's got made for us for pictures on the way in. We have a couple of photographers coming. So you need to be looking well, Greg, because you could end up in the paper and everywhere.
Well, some papers won't print a picture of me, and others will. We'll see. We'll see. I don't know what that's all about. Right. I'm a nice guy, Brendan.
I don't
know what's going on.
Believe it.
So it's going to be a good fun night. There's just no doubt about that. It's this coming Friday. Tickets are priced at €75 with 10 tables, $7.50. And you can get your tickets through us here at Highland Radio, the Arch Complex in Letterkenny, Sister Sarah's in Letterkenny, the Mount Ergel Hotel in Letterkenny. And you don't need 10 people either. You can go as a couple, because I think sometimes, what a great couple's night out.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? You don't need, the two of you head on there. You might meet new people. You can keep to yourself, whichever you prefer, and have the fun. You don't need a whole group of people, just a couple, 4 people, whatever it is.
The girls tell the story about this couple came in the last time and they didn't. We were trying to get them all in. There was I suppose between the COVID and that, and COVID passports being checked on the way in, so they were like, "Where are we sitting?" And there was a wee bit of confusion about it. And then they ended up sitting beside Anthony Malloy, and they thought this was unreal. It made their night. So listen, no matter who it is, Greg, that room of people, I'm looking out. Everybody's there. I was even saying to someone yesterday, I could literally just let the night happen, and everybody would have a good night regardless. But listen, we're there to do a bit of entertainment, and I suppose highlight the 3 charities this time. In terms of Donegal Hospice and Epilepsy Ireland. And of course, we keep the sponsorship up with the kids.
Yeah, and what we're doing is unfortunately in this world at the moment, we've been reminded, because sometimes we can forget a little bit, but with what's going on in Gaza at the moment, we're being reminded that there are many, many children in this world that don't have any of the benefits that our children have, whether it is through bombs dropping on them, or it is in different areas where women or girls are treated a different way, or forced into marriage, or female genital mutilation, or whatever it might be. There are different parts of the world where children just simply don't or will never have the childhood that hopefully the majority of our children will have. Plan works with some of these children. You were out there. You get to see where your money goes.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? This isn't money that's sent off to arm a dictator somewhere.
Yeah.
You get to see where your money goes, and to help children, so that the children get some semblance of a similar life to your children get. So talk to us about the money and how Plan...
that's it. They're in multiple countries all over the world. Listen, 98% of your contribution goes straight into the community, and it's not just you think about you sponsor a child, you think, what does that mean? Obviously, initially you think straight away nutrition and education and all the things that you mentioned, but they actually go and they help the family and the community. So it's very much they pull up the whole community with them.
And you tool people to better their lives.
Yes. And when you think of all the mass immigration and all the problems we're having in the world, unless we go and try and help out places and that, and I think if you turn on the news, it can be very depressing, Greg, and particularly at the minute it's horrific, what you're looking at, and you're often a wee bit kind of like lost in terms of how can you help a bit. So I think sometimes nights like this and just small wee bits, if you can help a small bit at all, it's something that...
Well, 2 years ago,
make a bit of a difference.
2 years ago, a big difference was made in a number of children's lives, because they were able to be supported through this. Also on the night... two charities very close to your heart and close to many people's hearts as well. That's the Donegal Hospice, of course, and Epilepsy Ireland.
Yeah, and indeed, listen, Dad's final days was in the hospice, and everybody knows, I mean, fantastic people in there, and I suppose the care, you know, when he first came back to Letterkenny, and even when he was initially up in Vincent, you know, being in a room with loads of other people who were really ill in that, and the lack of privacy in that, you know, it was really tough. When he came back down, he was initially in the hospital, and we were that glad we got into the hospice, because you just had that thing that you knew what was coming and you could be together as a family. So that side of what the hospice does is just unreal. And there's probably nobody listening to this that hasn't, unfortunately, had some involvement with the hospice. So any help we can be there, of course, right, that's obviously ongoing. And then epilepsy has obviously touched my family. You know, three of my sisters had epilepsy, and obviously Margaret that passed, Sharon and Maria actually grew out of it. But the amount of people that deal with that, and because of what happened last year, we just wanted to include them in as one of the charities as well.
Yeah, indeed. So 3 great causes, 2 local causes and an international cause there as well. Plan International, Donegal Hospice, Epilepsy Ireland, for 3 very important causes, but the night itself is about fun and helping them as well.
That's it.
You're going to be there.
Yep. You're going to be there.
Full comedian you are.
Listen. Don't put me under pressure now.
Eric Roberts, Bothder. Who else is going to be there? Do we know?
We have an absolute flood of GA personalities. And that.
Well, there are some of the biggest comedians going.
And yeah, listen,
and I mean that in a very positive way.
I know Mark Black is doing our music and the welcome drink from 7 on, really, in the Mount Errigal. 7:30 is down on the tickets. But if you want to come early, you're more than welcome. And as I say, Bumblebee Honey coming up from Roscommon to do the music and that. And listen, they're absolutely brilliant band, Greg. They're first class. They were at the last one as well. So listen, I'm looking forward to that time. And you know, Greg, when the mic goes live, that everything's done, because at the minute there is it's hard to take a breath putting everything together. But once it starts, I can't wait for it to start Friday night, because we'll have a cracking night.
Okay, it's this Friday in the Mount Errigal Hotel. There's already a huge crowd going to be there. There's a brilliant atmosphere, but there are a couple of tables available. You can get one table for 10 for $7.50, but you don't have to have a table of 10. I can't emphasise that enough. The crack is for everyone. 2 years, 4 years, a date night, whatever it might be. €75 per head, but you're going to be really well looked after with entertainment and food and crack for that. Brendan, thank you so very much indeed.
Much appreciated.
The best of luck. Brendan Devaney there.
The 9 till noon show with the Silver Tassie Hotel, the perfect venue for a Christmas get-together, serving festive lunch, afternoon tea, dinner and drinks throughout December. Follow Silver Tassie Hotel on Facebook and Instagram.
At Hickey, Clark and Langan Insurance Brokers, they compare quotes from all the leading insurers, so you get a great price. Home, motor and van, farm, holiday home, travel and liability insurance, they quote them all. So if the worst happens, you're covered. For a competitive insurance quote today, call Hickey, Clark and Langan on 9126688 or pop into their office at Ballymacool, Letterkenny. Hickey, Clark and Langan General Insurances Limited, trading as Hickey, Clark and Langan, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Make Christmas for everyone at Dunnes Stores. With 18-pack boxes of Tato and King Crisps, only €4.50 each. Mix and match 3 medium selection boxes for just €6. And stock the fridge with 10-can boxes of Coke and 12-can boxes of Diet Coke and Coke Zero, all just €8 each. Plus, with a 10 off 50 grocery voucher, you save even more. Dunnes Stores. Make Christmas for everyone. Terms and conditions apply. Voucher can be used at next grocery shop of €50 or more.
Thinking of changing your floors? Why not see what Florid Letterkenny has to offer? Florid have a large selection of solid, semi-solid and laminate click vinyl wood flooring, together with a fantastic choice of parquet, herringbone flooring, all at incredible value. Don't delay. Call Florid today on 087 161 7008.
Mr. Blue Sky, please tell us why. The Lotto jackpot is an estimated €6 million. Play responsibly in store, in-app or at lottery.ie. The National Lottery. It could be you.
The big Christmas lights switch on in Letterkenny is this Sunday the 26th. There's entertainment and fun on stage at Market Square from 6, followed by the big switch on and then the arrival of Santa on his sleigh. It's a great evening for all the family this Sunday at the Letterkenny Christmas lights switch on. For more details, see Shop LK on Facebook.
Do you need a UK address? Save hundreds of euros on custom charges shopping online with Space Hub Dairy. We provide a full virtual address mailbox service for all your business and personal use. Save hundreds, possibly thousands, on custom charges with Space Hub Dairy. Call 048 71 87 8077 or online spacehubdairy.com for more details.
With all the stories that matter across the Northwest, it's Greg Hughes on the 9 to Noon Show on Highland Radio.
And we've another hour for you this Wednesday morning, but at just a minute past 11, let's get a news update, and it's over to Donna Marie Doherty.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. A Kellybeg restaurant owner says response to the war in Ukraine has made trading very difficult. Gary Anderson is the co-owner of Kellybeg Seafood Shack and Anderson's Boathouse restaurant. He says the shortage of hotel accommodation means his typical customers have nowhere to stay. It comes as government has announced the exclusion of cafes, restaurants and pubs from a €10 million support fund to help businesses in areas where a large number of hotel and B&B rooms are being used by refugee accommodation. It's hoped additional funding will be made available to alleviate ongoing flooding in the Trenta area of Letterkenny. Some improvement works have already been carried out in the area, and Donegal County Council has confirmed an application to extend the works is to be submitted for climate adaptation funding. Councillor Kieran Brogan says in the interim, it's vital signage is erected toward road users of flooding at times. Any measures that defers people from smoking would be welcome, according to the head of National Cancer Registry. A proposal to raise the age limit to buy cigarettes from 18 to 21 will go to public consultation this week. Britain and New Zealand have introduced stricter age limits in a bid to phase out smoking among young people. Bundoran is seeing a number of developments, including a €200,000 revamp of its playground. Councillor Michael McMahon says the 25-year-old play park has served locals and visitors alike. The development of 42 housing units and a €350,000 outdoor diner has also been welcomed. And finally, Israel says it expects the first hostages to be freed by Hamas tomorrow under a deal that'll see fighting stop for 4 days. The agreement will see the release of 50 people who've been held in Gaza since they were captured last month. It'll also allow humanitarian supplies to enter the territory. That's all for now from Highland Radio News. The next news update will be at 12 o'clock. Until then, good morning.
Thank you very much indeed, Donna Marie. And we're going to give you another reminder of the fantastic competition we have running in association with our friends at the Silver Tassie. Stay tuned. Here are the details. You can enter and you could be a winner on Friday.
On this week's show, with thanks to our sponsors, the Silver Tassie Hotel and Seascape Spa, we're giving you the chance to win their Relaxation Heaven package. This luxurious 2.5-hour package includes an aromatic steam session and cocoon room, a hot towel, foot and back cleanse, an indulgent full body massage, a mini escape facial with scalp massage, all followed up with snooze room relaxation time and refreshments. To be in with a chance of winning this fantastic prize on Friday, simply answer the following question. What is the day after Thanksgiving known as in terms of shopping deals? Is it A, Black Friday, or B, Blue Friday? Text or WhatsApp your answer name and address to 086 60 25,000.
Tá séisiúr an lúling, agus cégur féidir le duine bit an flua all, déadach sé a bheith ina hinnas trom chúiseach de leanaí. Scapan vírus an lú go héasca ó gine go duine. Sinné an fá gur féidir le leanaí idir 2 agus 2 vaccine flu a oil séireanasca inis. Tugtar trí spray sróine agus cuireann sé cosant thóolta agus éfachtach an bhlú ar fáil. Mar sin ná bhíoh ein bhfuil ort. Cur cuine séireanasca in áire le de gugtar tailig nó le de chogaseoir agus cosant de chailig an bhlú. Tile ólis ar hsc.ie.
Morning, Greg. The prices here are abysmal. We're just back from a long weekend in London. Hotel, 2 West End shows, food, all really reasonable. We cannot afford to holiday here at home. We were in Wembley for... What were we over there for? The... it was summer. That's why it feels so long ago. The London Vintage and the hotels in Wembley. Now, in the shadow of Wembley Stadium. And I don't mean that it's some sort of advertisement pitch, quite literally in the shadow of Wembley Stadium. And for a Sunday night, it was £76 for a hotel room there. And that was right, as I say, under the arches. Would have been much more expensive, of course, if something was on. But anyway, the PRSA changes will result in around €46 per year deduction from your wages. Oh, okay. Right, Joe joins us now. Hi, Joe. We're talking about housing refugees a little earlier on. You'd be keen to do so.
That's right, Greg, yeah.
And what's been your experience?
Just to a brick wall. Yeah. We were previously in an emergency accommodation centre for the Irish government. So, to me, when I applied for the Ukrainian refugees, I thought there'd be no straight away I would have them. But basically, then they turned around and just red tape. Can you prove it's got a fire certificate? Can you prove it? Yes, there's the fire certificate. Can you prove it was trading as a commercial before 1992? Which basically is nearly impossible to do because there's no records. They literally didn't start keeping records with Donegal Council until on the computer since 2006. You know what I mean? So no matter what way everything I supply or I try to do, I've got a letter of confirmation that it was a petrol station, it was a shop before in the 70s. No.
And do you believe it is red tape, or do you believe maybe the whole refugee housing process is a bit of a closed shop, if you know what I mean?
I would the second part, Greg. I would tell them and say, if you were you put it out there to your listeners and say to them, how many people have actually applied and offered their homes or offered houses and commercials for Ukrainian refugees, and how are like me stuck in limbo for over a year?
Well, I can tell you because I can tell you one example because I was in contact with someone in the first round of where they were looking for people to house refugees. They had an empty house, never got a call back from the council. Then you might remember there was this announcement made whereby councils were going to be staffed and funded and everyone would get a call back within 2 weeks. Nothing. Never had anyone from the council out, never had any offer of refugees, nothing ever. And yet, since then, another 3,000 have come in and they're going into all different types of premises, be it hotels or whatever it might be. So it seems that really it's more of a case of maybe you have to know the system.
But let's say it's not what you know, so you know.
So you're saying between you and a friend, you could accommodate 40 people in total, and you can't even get any progress in. And as you say quite rightly, there's no guarantee people won't be intense. That's what the government says. But you've got accommodation for 40 people, and you can't get anyone into it.
That's right. That's correct.
Can I ask a general region that you're in, like north, south, east, or west, or wherever, as specific as you're comfortable in being, Joe, just so we get a sense of the situation?
We're up in Port Salon.
Right, up in Port Salon direction. Okay, right. And who are you dealing with? Is it the local authority? Is it a central agency?
Department of Youth and Children. You know, the DEYC, whatever it is.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, we'll chase that up. Joe, the line's breaking up on us as you move, I think. So I'll leave it there. But listen, thanks very much for your contribution there. 40 spaces. Now, it is quite possible that we aren't taking many more in, that we're moving them around within the county. I don't know what the situation is. A caller says there's been no water in Urus, Clonmany since Monday. She has a small child in the house and a farm to run. There's no updates in Irish Water and the council don't know anything about it. I'll check into that for you, see if I can get anything for you. My name is Dennis. I was sitting in a flat in Glasgow when an emergency alert went out to say that JFK had been shot in Dallas. That was in 1963. Really? Okay, it went out like breaking news. Do you remember there used to be breaking news? We cut across regular programming to bring you this breaking news story. That's from Dennis. He was in a flat in Glasgow when the alert went out in 1963. Great story, Dennis. Thanks for listening. No, Greg, that's not what I was referring to. The people I was referring to were spouses and family of people who have stickers, not people that have problems that aren't that easily noticed. I'll see it daily in my own town of Buncran. I get you. And listen, thanks for the clarification. I hope you understand that sometimes I just try and tease the comments out and not contradict them. But you're talking exactly as we heard from James. You know that it's fellow household members that are using the permit. So glad you clarified that with me. Thanks for listening and thanks for texting back in. Disabled parking and what is the situation about people from Northern Ireland parking in disabled parking spaces in the south? When I go to Northern Ireland, I can't park in their disabled spaces as I'm deemed to be from a foreign country, even though I have a southern disabled parking pass. Can they park in disabled spots here? Interesting question. Never even thought of the complication of someone from the Republic going shopping in Derry or Strabane, wherever it might be, and vice versa. So this listener is saying the parking badge from the Republic is not recognised in the north. Is that the situation in return? I don't know. Someone out there will, though, because we have amazing listeners and they always answer the call to answer a question. 086 60 25,000, 086 60 25,000. Right, if you have Crohn's or colitis, and many people do, and sometimes I do feel, because of the amount of people I know affected by this, that we have a greater proportion here in the Northwest, but that's not backed up by any figures. But we are going to be talking about an event for people impacted by Crohn's disease. Maybe you have got a recent diagnosis and you're looking for more information. It's not just that, and it is a broad church as well. We're going to be talking about that as part of Wellness Wednesday. Stay right there. We'll be back after this quick break.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
Your one-stop shop this Christmas. Gift vouchers for the Silver Tassie Hotel and Seascape Spa are available online at silvertassiehotel.com or from hotel reception. The Silver Tassie, proud sponsors of today's show.
If the season changing has you feeling blue, just wait till you hear our amazing Black Friday deals. Get a Toshiba 32-inch TV was €220, now €169. Perk up with a Tassimo coffee machine was €99.99, now just €39.99. And snack on these savings with the Progress 3.2-litre air fryer was €60, now just €30. Tesco. Every little helps. Club card required, subject to availability while stocks last. Available in most stores. Prices vary in express stores. See tesco.ie.
Spoil someone with a beautiful fragrance this Christmas from McGee's Chemist Letterkenny. Choose by designer, budget or celebrity. Top names like Chanel, Lancôme, Christian Dior and Jimmy Choo. Also great prices on Yves Saint Laurent, Prada and so many more. The best fragrant gift sets available this year can also be found in McGee's Chemist Main Street Letterkenny and online at mcgees.ie. McGee's, where the best costs less.
Nutrius Super Beef Gold ATP and Nutrius Max Maize Mix are now on offer at your local Homeland. Buy 10 25 kg bags and get one free, or get €15 off per tonne in bulk. The Nutrius Beef ATP pack enhances animal performance through maximising rumen efficiency. T's and C's apply. Contact your local Homeland or farm commercial specialist today. Visit nutrius.ie for full product details.
For fantastic Black Friday deals, visit Rossview Interiors in Letterkenny, where there's amazing offers on a large range of sofas, in stock and ready for delivery before Christmas. There's also huge savings on bedroom and occasional furniture, dining sets and Hollywood mirrors with dressing tables. The perfect Christmas gift. That's right now at Rossview Interiors, the home of better deals. At Rossview Business Park, Letterkenny, just off the Polestar roundabout.
Black Friday week at Sony Centre Letterkenny. The best deals on Sony TVs, soundbars, cameras, Bluetooth speakers and headphones. Sony Centre Letterkenny, the destination for Sony in the Northwest.
Highland Radio time checks with Expressway. Travel Route 32 from Letterkenny to Dublin when you book online and travel for less. Expressway, bringing you the time at...
It's just about to turn 11:15. You're welcome back. Okay, it's on to Wellness Wednesday. Today we're talking to Amy Kelly, Head of Communication with Crohn's and Colitis Ireland, who are holding a patient day in Letterkenny for people living with and impacted by Crohn's disease, ulcerated colitis and microscopic colitis. It's in the Radisson Hotel, the Radisson Blue Hotel on Saturday, this coming Saturday, November the 25th. Amy, Majin Y, good morning to you. How are you keeping?
I am keeping very well. How are you today? Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you on the programme. So, Do we need to, or should we explain really what we're talking about here and the various conditions? Because it is there's a broad amount of conditions that's kind of fall under the one umbrella, don't they, Amy?
Exactly, yeah. So if you can imagine, the umbrella term would be inflammatory bowel disease. And then underneath that, you have variations on inflammatory bowel disease. So Crohn's disease being one, and that would affect any part of your digestive tract. So you can have inflammation from your mouth all the way through to your anus. With ulcerative colitis, it's more localized in the colon. And then with microscopic colitis, the reason that has its name is because it's only detectable by a microscope. So there's a variation, and then some people might have undetermined IBD, so undetermined inflammatory bowel disease, because they can't pick up on the tests if it's Crohn's or colitis at that time. So yeah, it's there's over 40,000 people in Ireland living with this condition. Myself included, I have Crohn's disease myself, and it can be very, very debilitating for an awful lot of people. Because it can affect people in different ways too, and I would say there's many more cases beyond the 40,000 you talk of that are either undiagnosed or yet to be undiagnosed. Oh, sorry, yeah,
yet
absolutely.
To be diagnosed, I beg your pardon.
Yet to be diagnosed, yeah, exactly. Absolutely. You know, there's a lot of work being done in the area. Even in children, we've seen over a 90% increase in children being diagnosed with IBD in Ireland as of late. So it's absolutely on the rise. I think even in my own perspective, the fact that I'm so open about it and work in the organisation, I have a lot of people who would get in touch with me about their recent diagnosis or something being investigated. We ran a campaign earlier in the year called the Poo Taboo campaign. And it was encouraging the public to identify the symptoms of IBD, because some people might not understand the full extent of the symptoms. Some people that may have heard of Crohn's or colitis may just think it's diarrhea, run to the toilet and that's it. But it's such a bigger illness than just that one symptom. There's so many other things that could be going on. For example, that's not a symptom I have. I would have mouth ulcers, pain, abdominal pain, fatigue, and the list goes on. So I kind of brushed Crohn's away to the side. And from the campaign that we ran, we had a symptom checker that anybody can still do on our website. But from that, over 13,000 people completed that. And about 90% of them were told to speak to their GP based on the symptoms that they were experiencing, because it could be a sign of Crohn's or colitis. So,
and do you think a lot of people self-medicate, you know, that they go, I've just got the dodgy digestive system, and either, you know, take tablets to tighten bowel movements or loosen them or whatever they be, and just live in this sort of perpetual cycle without really, you know, the proper advice and support that they probably should have?
Yeah, again, myself included, I think a lot of us can attest to that. And I suppose it can typically take about 2 years to get a diagnosis of Crohn's or colitis, which is way too long. And people do push on in pain. And the thing about it is, sometimes we can go get things checked out. And I suppose where it is in our body, it can overlap with a lot of things. It can, in fairness, be put down to other conditions as well. Like even IBS is a prime one that people might get a diagnosis of first. And I suppose then you kind of can start thinking it's all in your head. You can kind of start putting it down to other things like, oh, I'm stressed, or, oh, it's because I ate such a thing. And it's important that if you are experiencing, you know, things like blood in the stool, running to the toilet frequent times a day, loss of appetite, you know, extreme fatigue, there's a variety of symptoms that you could be experiencing. If you are experiencing them for an ongoing basis, it's really important to get them checked out and make sure that you do get it investigated with things like colonoscopies, endoscopy and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I think we're getting better at talking about it too, aren't we? It's not, I mean, you didn't even say the P word. You actually said the word poo, Amy. No, but you know, I think we've made great inroads in certain things that we can get past the taboos and inverted commas and actually talk about, because it's a bodily function. We're animals here, and we have to talk about these things and get treatment where and when it's appropriate. And in terms of managing it, now there's a scale as well, of course, like a lot of conditions. But, you know, if you get the right advice, presumably on the right interventions, the right treatment, maybe dietary changes that you could make, you know, what might seem very difficult now might be more manageable with the right care and attention, Amy, if that's all right for me to say.
100%, absolutely. We always say, like, look, it can be an extremely debilitating condition, as I said, but it can be managed when you work with your IBD team. So around the country, we have IBD teams in hospitals, which would consist of an IBD nurse, gastroenterologist, your multidisciplinary team, and you have direct access with that particular IBD nurse. Usually people have email addresses or phone numbers that they can be in constant contact with if they're experiencing symptoms, because once it's under control and once it's managed, you can live well. So you can be in a flare, which is obviously when you have active inflammation present, and then you're trying to get yourself into remission. So that's when there's no inflammation present, and during that time you can live very well. I always try to say that no matter your condition, you can do everything you want to do in life. And even like I've been going through a flare myself in the past year, but in the past year, I have got married, I've moved house, and I've climbed Kilimanjaro in the middle of it all, which sounds a bit extreme, I understand, but they're goals I had set myself.
It makes me seem very boring and lazy. And I think it's...
I'm going to get very boring after this, Greg, don't worry.
I think it's really important too that you kind of timelined what a flare is, because I think maybe if you'd have asked 100 people listening, they'd think, well, it's a day, 2 days, 3 days, but you're talking about, a flare is, a chunk of your life here.
Yeah.
And
it can vary from
of
person
course,
to person as well.
but it's not just a flare. In my head would have been, I've had a bad weekend,
it's not a 24-hour book, that's for sure.
I get you. And I think it's also important not to ignore it, because obviously there's the general quality of life. You shouldn't have to endure it if you can get treatment or support that would, but also too then the long-term damage it might do to you as well, and what the ramifications or complications could be further down the line. Again, not for everyone, but Amy, it's not just a case of living and bearing it for everyone. You have to make sure that you don't leave yourself with something more serious to deal with a little further down the line.
Yeah, 100%, because if you're experiencing this pain, chances are it's not going to go away by itself, particularly if it's Crohn's or colitis, it's going to be there. And unfortunately, if it goes untreated, it's going to get worse. In my case, I pushed on for a couple of weeks. At that time of my diagnosis, I got things checked out and I was, pushing it down to things, but I ended up having to go to A&E, and that happens with a lot of people with Crohn's or colitis. And what I actually presented with was a perforation in my small intestine. So I had a burst hole in my small intestine. I was really sick, but to be honest, looking at me, I look no different than what I look like today, sitting here on the call to you. It was all happening internally. So it's really important, if you're experiencing any type of pain, gut related, don't just put it down to things like IBS or other conditions or my stress levels. Do make sure you get them checked out. It may be those things, and it may be able to be rectified with over-the-counter medication, or maybe, reducing that stress level. But do make sure you do push on. But I will say the one thing about IBS is if you are experiencing things like blood in your stool, that is not a sign of IBS. It is so incredibly important to get that checked out. That is a sign that there's something going wrong internally, and you need to get it checked out before things progress.
Yeah, and particularly through your stool, because, some people might see some spotting on tissue or what have you. And again, sorry to upset anyone, but we're going to talk about this kind of stuff, particularly if it's through it as well, because that's an indication that something's happening a little bit further up. Not to discount any other signs of blood, but just don't try and put it down to something. Right, so we're speaking in the context of this event in the Radisson Blu Hotel on Saturday, the 25th of November. Kathy Walsh is an advanced nurse practitioner in IBD. Louise McDermott is a community dietitian, another important element of this. And Dr. Vikrant Parihar is a consultant gastroenterologist. So you've got a good team there.
We do. We have a great team. Really looking forward to the day. So it's really important that we bring our medical experts into the room in an informal setting to, answer questions and provide information. And then from those conversations, then we also have a thing called our IBD bingo, which is essentially a networking lunch. And that's about an hour or so where you just get to sit and meet other people with IBD. Like, there's an awful lot of us out there living with Crohn's colitis who've never had the opportunity to have a conversation with somebody else living with the condition. And it's so valuable to have that opportunity just to speak with each other. And I remember the first time I spoke with someone with IBD, and the two of us were like, you have this too? Oh my God, me too. And it was just really nice to kind of know that you weren't alone going through a lot of the things you were experiencing. And it's not just for the person living with IBD, it's also for friends and family to come along as well to learn some information, but also meet people with IBD and meet other friends and family, because without our support network, we'd be lost. And I think it's really important to give those amazing people in our lives a space as well, and they're also welcome to come along. So yeah, and then at the end of the day, we go into a panel discussion with some of the members you mentioned there, and a patient as well. So kind of a very diverse day of information, opportunity to chat, and just a great day. We've done them around the country so far in Dublin, Cork and Galway, and the feedback has been fantastic. And it's one of my favourite days in the year, getting to do these activities and just going out and meeting everybody.
Yeah, because you know, not that you're there to people watch, but you will see moments where other people have that moment you had when you got to speak to someone for a first time, and how that affected you. Just finally, what are our pathways like now for people coming forward, and you know, in terms of a doctor going, right, okay, actually this could be that, let's do this, you know, let's get you checked. I think they're pretty good at the moment, aren't they? You know, I mean, obviously there could be delays and what have you and stuff like that happens, but you know, we're pretty good at sort of, from someone presenting to sort of getting a treatment diagnosis. It's drawn out, but we get there.
We do get there, absolutely. And I think, you know, we as a patient have to take kind of, I suppose, accountability for ourselves as well, that, you know, whenever we're experiencing symptoms and we're getting the things checked out, you know, we need to make sure that we're acting on that. And, you know, if we're kind of maybe speaking with the GP and we kind of go away for a while and we're not seeing improvement, it's
self-advocate,
go back and speak.
Trust your gut.
Exactly.
And I know it kind of sounds like
it really is trust your gut. Really, really is. And the GPs are doing a fantastic job, and it's something that we want to work with on our Poo to Boo campaign, about providing further information and maybe getting IBD a little bit higher up on the list of the vast majority of things that I suppose they have to check off. But, you know, I think to make things a little bit easier, even, you know, without going into too much detail, we've even identified that, you know, blood tests and tests that can be done at a local level could really impact the ability to diagnose patients, and we don't have access to that for some conditions. You know, so there's a lot of work that we can do to even improve that a little bit more, and, you know, introducing things like calprotection, which is a stool sample testing in the GP service for patients. So there's a lot of work in that area that we do want to improve on.
But if we do that, we take pressure off our acute hospitals.
Exactly
so there's a million reasons why we should. And you mentioned an important thing as part of the day. There's talk about new treatments and that, because it's quite possible there's people who've had it for a very long time, and there's a status quo there, and who's to say. Right, okay, so it's only 4 hours of commitment, and that'll fly by with the great speakers and the various events that are on. It's between 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. You can go to the CCI's website, crohnscolitis.ie, or call 01 531 2983. We'll retain those details here and put them on our socials as well, which, you know, I don't expect people to be able to take them down straight off the back of me mentioning them there. But Kathy Walsh, Louise McDermott and Dr. Vikrant Parihar will be there, all experts in the field, and I think it's going to be really informative. Okay, listen, it's been a pleasure talking to you. I'm delighted that you've had such a successful year with everything that's going on, and continued with the same. Thanks, Amy.
Thank you so much, Greg. Thanks.
Bye. That's Amy Kelly, Head of Communication with Crohn's and Colitis Ireland. Had colitis 29 years to be told it's Crohn's disease because multiple abscesses have started. All right, okay. 3 decades with a false diagnosis, that sounds like.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com.
The 9 till Noon Show with the multi-award-winning Silver Tassie Hotel. Planning dream weddings for generations. Email weddings at silvertassiehotel.ie for a brochure or your private show around.
e-tron, Audi's fully electric model lineup, delivers electrified driving without compromise. Enter the premium world of electric mobility with the Audi Q4 e-tron, a true all-rounder with technological innovation and versatile functionality. Audi e-tron, pure electric energy meets progressive performance, defines progress you can feel. Discover Audi's expanding e-tron range of all-electric vehicles at your local Audi dealer.
Screwfix Black Friday deals end soon. Save over €65 on the Milwaukee 18-volt angle grinder bare unit, now $94.95. And get the Ford Steel 22-piece toolkit for $36.95, saving €26. For more Black Friday deals, shop now. It's not too late. Deals end 27th November. Delivery charges apply.
Easy Living Furniture present their massive Black Friday sale with huge discounts of up to 60% off. That's right, up to 60% off everything until Sunday. With absolutely everything reduced, including sofas, dining, bedroom and mattresses, and with 0% interest-free finance available with no deposit, the choice is easy. Black Friday sale ends Sunday at Easy Living Furniture, Crescent Link Retail Park.
Let Caffrey prepare you for a rewarding career in the food and drink sector. Apply to study an innovative degree course at Loughry, Caffrey's specialist food-focused campus. At Caffrey, you will develop the scientific knowledge and technical skills to tackle global food production challenges. You'll also establish valuable industry connections. Apply now through UCAS. Visit cafre.ac.uk and discover food degree courses.
There's a difference between being in your car and being into your car. With Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, SatNav, 360-degree camera and voice control as standard. All from only €29,995 after grants. It's time for you to get into the all-new, all-electric Aura Funky Cat. With immediate delivery available, find your local dealer and read full T's and C's at aura-ev.ie.
Business Matters in association with Atlantic Technological University, Donegal. Study for a Doctorate of Business Administration and obtain the highest level management qualification available. Visit atu.ie/DBA.
Radio, Wednesday morning, it's time to preview the Highland Radio Business Matters podcast, and we're in the company of presenter of said podcast, Chris Ashmore. Hi, Chris. Good to have you in.
Hello, Greg.
Right, okay. Now, before we talk about the podcast itself, let's catch up on some news. Buy Donegal officially launched this week.
Yes, the Buy Donegal campaign has been launched. The Cahirlock of the Council, Martin Harley, launched it in the Mount Errigal Hotel earlier this week. And essentially, this is a platform for businesses to get their message out there and to generate additional trade. The website showcases everything from traditional crafts to innovative products and services. And it's all under this one umbrella, Buy Donegal. So it's a great way of going in. And you have, I think, in the region of 300 businesses there. And since it was set up, the figure's quite startling. When you, I suppose it shows the power of social media and the internet. They have reached people in more than 70 countries and a huge global audience running into millions.
Yeah, indeed. And we were talking earlier on about Shop Green, or Green Friday instead of Black Friday. It's a crossover there. You know, Buy Donegal, Green Friday. Get your Christmas gifts locally as well. We're also in Killybegs. We're back in Killybegs with some news of development works down there.
Yeah, plans for a major extension to the North Quay in Killybegs have been finalised, with the application being lodged with Donegal County Council. The Department of Agriculture, Food and the Marine is proposing to extend the North Quay at the Shore Road by 59 metres. So that's quite a big extension. It'll enable additional berthing facilities. There'll also be dredging work. Now, it still has to go through various steps in the planning process, but you know it's moving, and that's good to see. So we'll hear more about that in the future. You mentioned Black Friday.
Yeah. Well, one day from America. Now look where we're at.
Exactly. So it goes back. Most people say it goes back to Philadelphia in the 50s, and the story there was after Thanksgiving. There was a lot of shoppers and tourists flooded into the city in advance of what was a big Army-Navy football game that was held on Saturday every year. The cops were off that day. They had to... they weren't able to take a day off. They had to work extra long shifts. There was huge crowds, and shoplifters took advantage of the situation. There was bedlam in stores, some of them making off with merchandise. And that huge crowd and all these shoppers, that's where it all stemmed from. And now we have Black Friday, and as you mentioned, Green Friday.
It's a month now, really, effectively. Black Friday is a month, but we spend a lot of money.
Yes,
it is
a lot of money. I've seen reports saying we could be spending in this country €30,000 a minute on Friday. Now, there's always been this thing, are we being taken advantage on there? And the Which magazine in the UK did a big survey and an investigation into deals. And here at home, the Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, well, it is urging consumers to be cautious and to know your rights. Essentially, by law, when a business makes price reductions and announcements, it must display the lowest price a product was on sale for in the previous 30 days. And base the discount on this price alone. That said, how many people are going to go out and really check back?
And they can't use the recommended retail price either. But I think really what it's done, look, it's to bring the January sales, I'm not sure, it's to bring that market forward pre-Christmas to some extent as well.
Yeah,
so
it's a big boost.
There are savings.
Yeah. Just a note this week, Greg, I'm not sure, have you heard of HVO 100?
Give me more context.
No, it's a completely free, fossil-free biofuel, and just noting that Circle K is rolling it out around the country, and there's going to be pumps installed at Donegal Oil.
What is it?
It's HVO 100. It's a fossil-free fuel, and it's made from waste. It's not intended for human consumption, obviously.
But what can you run on it, Chris?
Well, you can put it into your vehicles.
Really?
You see, so this is going to all help us go further green again.
I thought that was across all this stuff.
It's a little bit more expensive at the moment. Now, I actually saw a company in Cork has been very prominent in this, and they're saying that this is going to replace kerosene as our heating oil as well. So there's big hopes for this. Over time, the price is going to come down, and it's great that they're converting all sorts of waste product, essentially old food and oils and things, and you'll start seeing the trucks as well. They'll be delivering, and Circle K Express in Lifford, Donegal Oil here in the Port Road in Letterkenny. They're amongst the first that are going to be getting it.
And is it diesel replacement or petrol?
Yeah, it's an alternative diesel, and it offers, they claim, a 90% reduction in the carbon emissions over regular diesel. So one to watch.
Yeah,
one to watch.
That could be the future. So can we keep our cars after 2030 then?
You'll be on your electric bike.
I think that's all. I think that's all. I mean, the UK are already pushing it out to 2035. I think if they come up with an alternative fuel such as that, who's to say if they might not change that? Right, so that's a bit in the news. Let's get back to the podcast. Hugh Boner is on the show. Tell us a bit about Hugh.
Yes, he's the managing director of publishing and event management company Mara Media, which is based in Annagree. He comes from a strong fishing background. His family were involved. He fished off Burton Port, became a skipper himself. And back in 2005, he bought the already established publication which was called The Skipper. Now, this was a monthly magazine. It was published up in Dublin. He took it over. He saw potential for growth. The magazine prospered. Then he got into expos and events, initially related very much to the fishing industry, and he's also brought out magazines, including the one for Donegal Airport. He does the Knock Airport magazine. Cork Airport is on its way. So lots of things there. And he's always placed a great emphasis on quality, and if you're going to do something, do it well. And over the years, he's produced some merchandise, accessories to go with his business, and the skipper name is well known in the fishing industry for the magazine. And he's produced these beanie hats which he's handed out at expos and everything, and they have come up on TV in some strange places. And they've become a marketing tool, and he explained to me some of the places where he has seen them on television.
I'm going to play the clip, but did you chicken out from all your puns here?
I know you're hooked on this, but you can call me later.
Back after this short clip. Here's Hugh Boner.
It's just one of those things that the people take pride in awareness, kind of become brand awareness over the years. I suppose, you see, we've always done skipper beanies and given them away over the years, exhibitions and whatnot. So I'd be watching the TV sometime and BBC News one night, and I think there were I'd say the Icelandic government were in crisis and they were disbanding the government, and the guy giving the main interview, who was being interviewed, commenting on it, was wearing the skipper beanie. I just laughed.
Did he get it at an expo over here? Or?
Yeah. Well, we're giving away beanies. Like, we've got the shows in Denmark and Norway and Aberdeen. We're giving them out, and then there's quite a crossover in the fishing industry with people from Scandinavian countries, particularly Norway, who would come to our show, and vice versa, and Danish and all that. So he did. So he done the whole interview with that, and I thought that can't be topped, because it's on the BBC. So lo and behold, a few months later, Boris Johnson was at the fish market in Peterhead talking to, one of the workers there, and he was wearing the skipper beanie, I suppose it's subtle branding when you're thinking it in a way, and create your little brand, yeah.
All right, clearly a great business and a great character there. The full interview with Hugh Boner is available to download at highlandradio.com or wherever you get your podcasts, providing it's Spotify or iTunes. It's broadcast on the radio too, of course, Chris.
Yes, Sunday evening after the 6 o'clock news. And if you'd like to get in touch with the programme, you can drop me an email at businessmatters@highlandradio.com.
Chris, thank you so very much indeed. That's live for you right now to listen at your leisure, and we appreciate your time, Chris, as always. We look forward to seeing you next Wednesday. Shall I mention just a couple of events that are coming up to try and give them a little bit of support? A very inner-shown Christmas takes place on Thursday, the 21st of December. It's at St Mary's Hall, Buncrana. It's at 7 p.m. Boogie Bugs from 3 to 6, not times. Boogie Bugs, there for 3 to 6 year olds. Music Box Singers, there for 6 to 14 year olds. And Guitar Academy for 6 to 15 year olds. So it's a very inner-shown Christmas. It's right in the mouth of Christmas too, the 21st of December in St Mary's Hall, Buncrana. You can go to ticketsource.eu/the-music-box-school. Also, there's a pop-up community cafe taking place in Letterkenny Baptist Church on Friday, the 24th of November. That's the day after tomorrow. It's between 10 a.m. and 12 noon. It's a warm space with a warm welcome. There's going to be free tea and coffee and winter care packs. That's a pop-up community cafe on Friday, this coming Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 noon at Letterkenny Baptist Church. So get along to that. Right, okay. Donegal forgotten by government. Eamon Ryan, says this caller, is willing to provide this fast-track bypass. It's crazy what they do around their own areas. The closer to Dublin, the better. Minister Donnelly's only coming up here for publicity. It's crazy that it takes something so big for them to come to Donegal. If this big hospital wasn't built, he wouldn't be here. I heard this morning that 45 million is needed at least for Letterkenny University Hospital. The Kildare bypass will cost millions, but because they're in the golden circle of Dublin, it will get done. Well, look at the end of the day, Minister Rabbitt's come up to meet parents, concerned parents here, off the back of them rallying together and campaigning and demanding she come up. She's come up to speak to them tomorrow. We're going to speak to her on the show tomorrow as well. Stephen Donnelly, maybe it's taken a while, but thanks to the efforts of the GPs, the consultants and the general public, he's had to leave Dublin to come up and meet with them. Yes, he's turning a sod on a community hospital. We'll all benefit from that community hospital, but he's coming up to speak to them directly. And we'll get stuff on the record that, we can challenge then down the line. We might not always like the answers we get, but if you get them on the record, then you can go back to them. And that applies to opposition as well as it does to those in government. So yes, I get where you're coming from and I appreciate your contact, but we have two ministers on two really big topics on this show over the last 2 months. So we'll take that, have a chat to them, and they'll meet the actual important people who are those affected by the CDNT services and, of course, Letterkenny University Hospital. Greg made a good point about the health budget being so tight. Ask the Minister the reason why there's no money. They've 2 billion over one site. When money's mismanaged like that, no wonder that they don't have the budget. Well, you see, we're told that the budget's... We can't be two things at the same time, really, can we? We can't be a prosperous country at full employment with fantastic future, we're relatively rich by international standards, and have people dying because we don't have enough funding for our health service. Do you know what I mean? Like, how can those two things coalesce? I don't know. It confuses me. Again, questions I'll hope to put to the Minister on Friday in a constructive and respectful way.
Christmas party nights at the Silver Tassie. Drinks reception, 4-course festive meal, live music by the Logues, Jim Devine, and more power to your elbow. For dates and bookings, call the Silver Tassie Hotel, proud sponsors of today's show.
Níl éon rud níos láidre ná an dáibh idir hiblini, na cóchuimh ní ile sin na hédaí córínse, ardan córínse commartas árán orifíse, rudaí idir hiblini tasat. Go dtí go near duine agaí gur féidir le gná éilí ar be fearras gás i Iesu, agus bristar an dáibh go jo. Bhí mar leag sa gás sin nach rá. Ní rá. Go má. Úsáid sútálaí gáisiún chlórithe i gúnlaí, nó de tá gach rud a chur am mhail. Amsí sútálaí ag rgi.ie.
Donegal Local Development Company is hosting a showcase event celebrating Donegal businesses in the Central Hotel, Donegal Town on Friday the 24th of November from 1 to 7 p.m. This event is free to attend and features the best local startup businesses. Find your perfect Christmas gift, perfect tradesman, beauty product or outdoor adventure and much, much more, all in one place. Come along and support your local businesses and find out what's newly available in your area on a day that's guaranteed to be fun for all. Make celebrating Donegal businesses your business on November 24th. For more, visit dldc.org.
It's our biggest ever Black Friday at Boots, with up to 30% off selected premium beauty and fragrance from Burberry to Yves Saint Laurent, like the Liz Earle Cleanse and Polish Starter Kit, was €26, now €18.20. Shop today and don't miss out. Boots, give joy. Selected stores and boots.ie, subject to availability. Offer ends 3rd December.
More and more people are moving to rural Ireland, but we're not here in Donegal for a slower pace of life.
We're here because rural Ireland is alive,
brimming with ideas and energy.
The only thing holding us back is slow broadband. It's cat, pure glacial.
So why wait? Imagine broadband speed gives us the freedom to connect without compromises.
Imagine Broadband is connecting homes and businesses in your community right now. For better service and faster broadband faster, switch to imagine.ie. Imagine. Faster broadband, faster.
Subject to location and availability.
Hi, it's Brian Cunningham here, inviting you to join us for our Christmas candlelit concert featuring Dana, Philomena Begley, Cleona Hagan, Sandy Kelly, Chrissy Mack at St. Cronus Church Dunlow, Sunday the 3rd of December. Tickets €30 and available from St. Cronus Church, the Cope Dunlow and www.bcunningham.ie.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by Grant. From condensing oil and HVO biofuel boilers to heat pumps and underfloor heating, you can trust Grant to heat your home. Visit grant.ie.
Okay, a cloudy, damp and blustery day with patchy light rain and drizzle. Temperatures 11 to 13 degrees in fresh to strong westerly winds. Stephen McCrory is Senior Executive Engineer with the Greenways Project, and he joins us on the programme now. Stephen, good morning to you.
Morning, Greg. How are you?
Not so bad. Now, the council, along with Transport Infrastructure Ireland, are inviting residents where the residents in the Carndonagh area, isn't it? It's the Carndonagh Greenway project. So inviting residents of the area, members of the public and other interested parties to participate in the second non-statutory public consultation for the Buncrana to Carndonagh Greenway project. So talk to me about, at this point, just to remind us, what are the plans there at present?
Yeah, well, the plan is, there's two plans really. There's the big plan and the project plan. This project relates to Buncrana to Carndonagh Greenway, and we're looking to construct a greenway between the two main towns in the Inishowen region, which in turn will form part of the bigger project, which is the one that loops around the entire Inishowen Peninsula, which would be the Inishowen Greenway. But we've developed this project, the Buncrana to Carndonagh one, to a stage there where we've confirmed the feasibility of the scheme, and we've developed a number of route options. And really what we want to do is present those options to the public and let them have their say on them, and let us know what they think and what they would like out of the scheme, and which routes they think are best, and how and if there's issues that might affect them, let us know about them, please.
And at this point, when you talk about preferred routes, have negotiations started with landowners, Stephen, or is that a next stage of the process?
No, that'll be the next stage of the process, and become a stage. We're working off the Transport Infrastructure Ireland's project management guidelines, and it's a phased project. So we're coming out of phase one now. We had the first public consultation back in April, and we got some really useful information out of the public there, some great feedback on what they wanted the project to look at. So off the back of that, then we have looked at whether the scheme's feasible or not, whether we can construct a greenway between Carndon and Buncrana, and the outcome of the report that we prepared shows that we can. Not only that there's 7 potential routes that we could take, and it's those routes that we're bringing forward to the public now to let them have their say on them. So we have a couple of routes there that swing out by Dunree and coming maybe to Kilmany, Ballylithin, and then to Carndon, where there's other potential routes where you follow the old railway line up from Buncrana up towards Kilmany and Ballylithin and round to. Or we could maybe look at going off to the left there as we come to Dumfries and going taking a more direct route to Carndon. So it's these options that were presented to the public at this stage. They'll be further refined as part of the process early next year, and we'll come back then with a preferred route corridor. Now, when I say these are routes, these are route corridors, and they're quite wide in nature. They're maybe 300 metres wide, so there's a lot of flexibility within the route corridors themselves. But they'll be further refined into a preferred route corridor.
Listen, and we've seen the attraction and success of greenways across the country, not just for local people where it's a safe place to go and walk or cycle, but also there's a big tourism market there that can be tapped into as well. The Inishowen Gateway Hotel, Railway Road, Buncrana, the consultation runs there from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. So to drop in, I don't think you expect anyone to land at 2 and leave at 8, except the staff, Stephen. That's on Wednesday, the 6th of December. And there's a second the next day in the Carndonna PSC. That's on Malin Road, of course, in Carndonna, in the Council Chamber Room there. That's on Thursday, the 7th of December, again from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. You know, it's really important, I think, that the public sort of, take an interest and take ownership of these type of developments. There's a lot there up for grabs in terms of how they can influence this or have their say.
Well, for sure, and this is the time to do it. If the public have a preference for a particular route, it would be great to hear it now so that we can take on board that feedback. We will have a website there where feedback can be received after these dates. But, by all means, come down, talk to the team. I'll be there, the consultants will be there, and we can talk you through the project and how it might affect you. And in terms of interested groups and that, what they would like to see, would they like to see a more direct route, or would they like one that meanders around the coastline and takes in the scenery and potentially Dunree?
Out of interest, what is the length difference between a more direct Buncrana to Carndonna compared to sort of the meandering, more maybe visual? Is there a big difference in length?
There is quite a difference, it could be half as long again if we go a more meandering route around the coast. But then that brings in its own attractions in terms of sceneries. And as I say, there's that big construction project planned for Dunree. So there's a strong argument to go that way and connect in and deliver our visitors to that centre in a sustainable way. Or maybe we're looking at taking a more direct route to facilitate better commuters and that type of things, wanting to travel between Carndonna and Buncrana.
Yeah, and finally, Stephen, you're bound by a process. This is just part of that. All going well, and I think I may have asked you or a colleague this before. All going well. When would we expect to see maybe work actually beginning on the ground in constructing such a greenway?
Yeah, generally that will depend on the statutory processes and on the route that's chosen. If the route that's chosen is fairly contentious and is going through, we would have a lot of environmentally sensitive habitats in the area. We would need to be careful in that. That will take it a little longer. But our plan is to get it up and moving, to get a preferred route corridor in the middle of next year, and then work on designing that and start chatting to landowners. Once we start chatting to landowners, there's a year in process before we can look for planning permission, and a year afterwards when we must, the planning process itself will take a little while.
Yeah.
So a year afterwards then. So you're probably looking a few years away, but we're delighted to see that the feasibility of the scheme has been confirmed and that we can push on now with selecting a route through the peninsula forward.
Okay, so two face-to-face, in-person, public consultation events. Buncrana, Inishowen Gateway Hotel from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. Drop in sometime between those hours on Wednesday the 6th of December, and also Carndon at PSC in the Council Chamber Room there. It's on Malin Road. Thursday the 7th of December between 2 p.m. and 8 p.m. as well, to drop in at some point that suits you. All right then, listen, Stephen, thanks for that. Stephen McCrory, Senior Executive Engineer with the Greenways Project. Okay, thanks to our friends at Kelly's across the road from us here. We have another €50 fuel voucher to use at a Circle K station. And Emerald is green. Do you know who knows that? I know. Brendan Shields in Fanad. Brendan, €50 of a fuel voucher in your back pocket. Thank you for that. We'll be in contact with you. Thanks to all of you entering our and actually might play out with a reminder, our Silver Tassie competition. It's a brilliant prize being given away the day after tomorrow. So I might pop that in and just give you a reminder of that as we say goodbye to you. Trying to work out the times in my head here now so I don't leave John late. A caller says, I'm 73 and suffering from with colitis since an early age. With the gluten-free diet, I have a whole new life. Wheat is a big heartache. You'll notice a difference from cutting out wheat after just 2 days. Okay, that's good to hear. I'm glad to hear that you are finding a pathway to an improved life for you. Good advice passed on. Thank you very much indeed. Tell that man offering accommodation to contact Donegal County Council. There's a lady there dealing with this. That's what he's trying to do as well. Anyway, less said sooner. Hi, Greg. I first experience of how useless our disabled parking card is in Northern Ireland. A few years ago, we parked in a disabled parking space in Strabane. While I was trying to get out of our van, the traffic warden was writing a ticket for me at the same time. That comes in from Anne in Donegal Town. Anne, what a pain. Lovely to have you listening down in Donegal Town too, by the way, Anne. Driving passes for disabled spots. Depending on the time they were issued, they would display the EU logo on them for your EU logo on them for universal usage. Not sure now how Brexit affects their ability to be used here. That's the British ones, or the UK, the Northern Irish ones in the Republic. Final mention for you before I go. We've got 3 weeks to go now until the Highland Radio Christmas concert. It's great to have it back, you know. Many of you have supported our concerts over the years. You know they're a great night out. This is one with a particular Christmas theme, as you can imagine. Package deals are sold out, but tickets are selling really fast, and there's still some available here at Highland Radio, at the Mount Errigal Hotel, and online at the outlet on highlandradio.com. €25 each. Loads of acts. You'll hear the ads. Further information, call us on 074 91 25,000 or visit, as I said, highlandradio.com. Click into the outlet. But if you want to give us a call, 074 91 25,000. John Breslin's coming up around the northwest after 12. But for me, Greg Hughes and Caroline O, who researched and produced the show, and Shannon working flat out as well, we'll be back with you tomorrow morning at 9.